What's up, y'all? Good evening. Happy Saturday night. Hope everyone's doing well. Let's see who's here already. We're going to talk about the raid on Saltillo tonight. A little known event we've done an episode on that's in our latest episode. So if you haven't seen our latest episode, go watch it right after this. Hang out with us for a while, but go watch it after this. Let's see. Oh man, it's giving me that scrolling issue again, guys. So if I missed your chat, my sincere apologies, but we're trying to get to everybody. Thomas, what's up, man? Thomas Cloak, good to see you. Bama 8900, good to see you. Terry R, what's up? Artemio, what's up, man? Good to see you again. Mike Holst, good to see you, man. Hope the week finished strong. Love the Joe Cocker intro music, says Pet Detectives. Thank you. I should have pinned that, but I just put it in the chat because I don't know, let you guys know what I'm listening to. Bama Deanna, good to see you. Good to see you. Billy Bob, hello. What is it there? It's like 4 a.m. there, isn't it? Arizona boy, good to see you. Got all the regulars here so far. Awesome. So if you haven't heard this story already, actually, this story was kind of tough to research. So it's going to be a little bit of a book club episode too, because I want to tell you guys about this book that I got this story from. Let's see. Clock Cutter, good evening. Good to see you. Brandon Lowry, what's up, man? Nice name. Juan Freddy V, what's up? Good to see you. Jake Skywalker, welcome in. Welcome in. We got a couple of double timers today. Mike Holtz, let's get this. Let's see. We took second at the Imlay City Invitational. 3 champs, 2 runners up, 8 in the semis. Fantastic, man. Excellent work. Great job. That's a good day. 3 champs and 2 runners up. So you have 5 guys in the finals. Dang. All right. Let's go. The Highlanders, man. Highlanders Wrestling. We have that's our official HOKC wrestling team. Let's see. Is ich kein Anarchist? I thought that was German for a second. I was trying to read in German. Derek Boodle, is it the Anarchist Cookbook? It is not. It is not. We cannot officially endorse that book today, but it's a good book. The book we're going to talk about today. Fantastic day for the wrestling team, says Pet Detectives. Absolutely, man. That's amazing. Also, you got some gear. Also got you some gear, man. How do I send it? Dude, can you I need to get a PO box. There's a couple people have told me that. Can you email me? Because I don't have your email and I don't want you to put it on the chat. So Mike Holtz, can you email me at history@theokcorral@gmail.com and I'll give you the address here and then I'll wear it on the show, man. That's awesome. What a great let's see. It's start of the season though. The early season is before Christmas, so it's still early in the season. Great start, dude. Quesadillas are the best. Can't forget the consomme either. It's way up there. It's a top fiver. Bollocks, I'm here, but the PS5 app took an S, says Surrender Monkey. We feel your pain, Surrender Monkey. We've been dealing with that today, trying to get the tech straightened out. I drank that too, says Artemio. Jake Skywalker with a $2 super chat. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to all. We have 12 days left till the 25th. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Mike Holtz, email me, man. I would be so excited for that. Let's see here. Go Highlanders. Good call, Arizona. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay. My family is from General Cepeda, which is an hour away from Saltillo. Love the history. Oh, very nice. Angel Gallegos. Thank you. I think you'll like tonight's story and you'll know the area then. Mike Holtz says, appreciate the support from HOKC crew with the $3 super chat. Man, thank you so much. We're happy to have you here. Thank you. My little nephew is joining us. He is 9. Awesome. At Gregory. Welcome, Gregory. Glad you made it, man. It's sorry you had to stay up so late, but glad you're here. I got you larges. Is that good? That's good. I think that'll add a little mass to me. Absolutely, man. That's so cool. Thank you so much. That's great. Let's see. Oh, wow. Terry R with a $5 super chat. Merry Christmas, HOKC crew, and Merry Christmas to you, Terry R. Merry Christmas to everybody. Wonderful time of the year. There can be only one. Let it be the Highlander. That's our motto, man. Watch these Highlander kids through the rest of the year. I think they're going to tear it up. Let's see. Gregory, what's up? Glad you made it, man. That's awesome. Happy Cappy, what's up? Good to see you. Man, all right. We got 25 people here. So let's give it 1 or 2 more minutes, and then we'll jump into the actual story. It's not a super long one. It's we were going to watch the Comancheros tonight. So if you're tuning in, expecting that, we've had so many tech issues that I didn't want to get the movie going and then have it cut in and cut out on us. So once we get those ironed out, it'll be oh no, it's a Comancheros. It'll be Comancheros time. Amazing Disgrace 911. Dude, hell of a name. Your videos are great. I owe you this just for the enjoyment I've received already. Well, you don't owe us at all, man, but thank you very much. We appreciate everything because this is my job. So it's all appreciated, but this is a ton of fun for me. Nick Sweeney, I think it's 10:06, but welcome in anyways, Nick Sweeney. I made it. What excuse is this monstrosity of tardiness? Are you referring to your own tardiness, Nick Sweeney, or I'm not sure there. Welcome in either way. It's always good to see you, however late. Comic Dog, what's up? Let's see. Here at the Roadhouse closing up. What's up, man? You work at the Roadhouse? You work at, that's right, Texas Roadhouse it's not in Texas though. Did you think on my quote? Yeah, I was talking about that this morning. All right, I can give you but I'm not going to give you my final picks. But when we get done with this story, I'll give you my rough picks. Okay. I've been genuinely thinking about it, Artemio. I was beginning to wonder where Nick was. Me too. I was thinking we are Sweeney-less. 31 plus crew, and it's 11 p.m. Love the loyalty. Hey man, I'm always surprised how many people we get to come in on the late night chats. I did owe you, and you're being modest. Well, yeah, hey, man. I appreciate it. That's for sure. I know. No such thing as no. It's hard earned money for everybody, so I appreciate every dollar. Nick Sweeney, I referred to this 7 p.m. stream, but I posted. I posted earlier. Now, granted, it was supposed to be a 7 p.m. stream, but I thought that would be the quality would be compromised because we were having some Wi-Fi trouble earlier. I think because it was 7 p.m. on a Saturday. But I thought, you know what? We're going to do this thing right. And so we bumped it back to 10 p.m. I went to the ranch today. No arrowheads, but still a good time. Right on. There are small caves and lots of flint flakes inside. Well, like we were talking about this morning, if you get desperate, you can bite the flint flakes. That's what Dan Robertson was saying. Let's see. These are those messages in the chat. Not sure what that means, Gregory. Can you clarify just a little bit so I'm not sure and I don't want to miss you. Thomas Cloak, good to see you, man. You were one of the first people here. Surrender Monkey says, my PS5 needed refreshing. You are all good now. Right on, right on. Sorry if the screen shakes. That's I got it on a stand. Set up at 4:08 this a.m. to watch the stream. Hope everyone is well. I was wondering, Thomas Cloak. It's like, yeah, that's what I thought. 4 a.m. there. Do you play RDR2? Jake Skywalker says, I have not played it, but we did a stream on it and I'm going to play it. I'm trying to get it for my Mac and I think I can play it for my Mac, but I've never played any Red Dead. And we did a stream on it and I was like, well, this is really cool. So we're going to play that. Terry R says, I can rest now. Mr. Sweeney is in the HOKC house. I wouldn't rest for too long because you know how he gets. Happy Cappy. All right, we're just letting everybody say hello to each other. Awesome. Okay, so let's start with the book that I'm going to use because this is a criminally little known book. So I'm going to screen share here. So let's check this out real quick. It's called War of a Thousand Deserts. And it really hones in on the Comanche raids in the U.S. American, it's like what it says, right? Indian raids in the U.S. Mexican War. But it goes really into depth on Comanche raiding into Mexico. And this is where I got the story from. And raids into Mexico had kind of abated for a long time. He makes the point that the people seeing these raids that we're going to talk about had not seen anything like this in roughly 100 years. So it's not like they didn't know the Comanche were out there and the Comanche were dangerous, but Mexico had kind of came to an understanding with Texas with the Comanche by 1840. The Comanche, we've talked about this a couple times, as much as the this channel even talks about the martial superiority and the bellicose nature of the Comanche tribe. They were amazing diplomats. They were often more diplomatic than you would think because you can't build an empire without even an ad hoc empire of sorts without a measure of diplomacy. They were really good diplomats when they wanted to be. They were excellent businessmen, and this pragmatic truce had been struck with the Comancheros, with much of New Mexico, and with much of northern Mexico. The ire was really being drawn by Texians at this time. So they, the northern frontier of Mexico had kind of thought, well, the Comanche threat is out there, but it's not a threat to us directly. And in December of 1840, they were proven terribly wrong. So let's dive into the story of the book here. Where'd my notes go? Constant trouble of this program. Where did I put my notes? Okay, because sometimes I write them down, sometimes I put them in a Word doc. So you know me, get a little confused. So they are rating. Let's get a map up here. Let's get a map, guys. We need a map so everybody can see, because I can show you the rough trajectory of the raids. Let's bring up a map here. Now, I am not a Mexican geography expert, believe it or not, but how am I bringing this whole thing up? Maps. Okay, there we go. Sorry, give me 1 second, guys. I'm getting it pulled up. Give you a holistic understanding. Okay. And I just need this. There we go. Fascinating, I know. All right. Google Maps. So, the target of today's raid, make sure I can see you guys as well. So many tabs. The target of today's raid is going to be Saltillo, Coahuila. Excuse my pronunciation, guys. If I've tried Spanish for a long time. Sometimes I get it. Sometimes Saltillo, Coahuila, Mexico. It's the capital of the not province, the state. The Comanche are coming from northwest of San Antonio, and oftentimes some of them are coming from northeastern New Mexico. So way up here and in here. There's a couple bands of Comanche and some Kiowa from over here in Oklahoma, and they all coalesce right about here and start making their way down. They're trying to sweep out the settlements of Texas, and they're sending raids to northern Mexico because they're just on a tear. They're just on a full-on rampage, taking horses. They're unaliving captives. They are taking captives. They are unaliving entire settlements full of fighting age males. It is just a full-on. They are really trying to hammer home their martial superiority, because in the 1830s they took a real hit, and we're trying to see the Comanche are kind of on a revival trip at this point, and they're trying to drive everyone out of their lands and take everything back, basically, and make everyone pay for taking their lands. So the raiding party is coming down through northern Mexico. They hit everything from Piedras Negras to Laredo, ravaged. Like, reports were coming into Saltillo that the Comanche were on a tear. Like I said, no one had seen in a century. They were doing everything that they had heard of from their grandparents or great grandparents. These no quarter raids where whole towns are raised, right? And that's coming town by town towards Saltillo. And everyone is just going like, well, they're probably coming here. What are we going to do? They actually get word that, I'm trying to find Patel on the map here. Let me look it up. Patel, Mexico. I got to look up the actual, some of the towns, they're Spanish towns, guys. So the names get a little muffled in my head. But let's see. It's a town nearby that draws all the Comanches, or they think all the Comanche are going there. Let's see. Saltillo. Oh, yeah. San Francisco de los Patos. So that is, it's west of it, but it's a very, very small little town. It was like a little hacienda. I don't even know that it's there anymore. But San Francisco, let me look one more time. San Francisco de los Patos. So that's a little hacienda, a little settlement that is is next up in line for the Comanche raids. Oh no sound. I lost audio. 1 second. So make sure. Let's see. You can hear. So we got sound from Thomas Cloak. Give me a one in the chat if you can hear me. I've got a couple that says Happy Cappy is good. Ma, ma, ma. Arizona Boy Terrier. Can you? Okay. Okay. Choppy for 10 seconds. It's been good over here ever since. Okay, here. All right. If it gets, I'm watching the chat too. So if it gets super choppy, right on, right on. If it gets super choppy, just let me know. I'm watching it. Choppy on my end. That might be if everyone else has a good signal, Bama. That might be yours. So maybe try reloading the stream. Only one was a little glitch. Okay, and yeah, if it gets choppy on your end, true too, you might try reloading it because it might be your end at home. If not, though, let me know and I'll reload this end. Been a slight lag for Amazing Disgrace. Okay, keep letting me know in the chat. I've got mostly one, so I'm gonna keep rolling. And if you're having any issue on your end, try reloading it. And if that doesn't work, let me know. So the let me see if I can find it on here too. Francisco de los Patos. Yeah, I don't see it on the I don't know that it was just a very small hacienda. Um, but the nearby hacienda of okay, good. The nearby hacienda of San Francisco de los Patos is is they predict it to be the next town that's hit, and they're thinking, well, it's very small. They're going to wipe that out entirely. So most of the soldiers and many volunteers from Saltillo head out to San Francisco de los Patos. In the interim, the Comanche either get word of this or have planned the attack on, have kind of sent a feinting force towards San Francisco de los Patos and sent the majority of their force still towards Saltillo. They wait until most of the fighting age men have left, soldiers and volunteers alike. Then they, show up all surrounding the town, and the town is certainly shocked. Right, the local governor. I've got to look at his guys. I practice his name, but I'm going to screw it up if I try to say it. The local governor, Don Miguel. I know it's Don Jose Maria Goribar is the guy in charge of defending the town now. So they muster a small group of remaining soldiers and volunteers to go out and try and drive the Comanche off. It's really their only hope of defending the town. So they ride out and form a cavalry line, which is similar to the one that's in tonight's thumbnail. A big, long cavalry line of every guy that they've got. Then they see the Comanche kind of pause on their approach, and they get off their horses. Wait, they see the sorry. I was researching this story earlier, and I haven't done this episode in a while. Um, the Comanche make their attack, and then for whatever reason, seem like they've just become disheartened or thought better of the attack, or think that they're going to take too many casualties charging the cavalry force. So they halt and then turn and seem to retreat. And so Don Goribar and all of his boys are like, "Great! Like we intimidated them into leaving. Let's get off our horses and really shoot a volley their way and make sure they stay gone." So they get off their horses and they're about to set up, and everybody's going to send a volley their way. And that is right when the Comanche turn around and charge them. They charge their horses away. The guys aren't even able to get off a shot. And then it's just chaos. They wipe all these guys out in hand to hand combat. The Comanche at this time mostly have the long 14, 12-foot spears that we've talked about that they adopted from the Spaniards, bows, arrows, war clubs, tomahawks, knives, etc. So it's hand-to-hand combat through most of this fight. They storm the streets of Saltillo, and then it's similar to the Battle of Huamantla that we talked about last night or 2 nights ago with Samuel H. Walker. It is a street-by-street affair, and they are taking prisoners. Women and children they're trying to take those prisoners. We've talked a lot about Comanche adoption. So prisoners are very valuable to them for either adopting the children into their tribe or ransoming off hostages. This carries on for hours. And finally, everyone thinks that it's done because they've collected, I believe it's 64 prisoners, which is quite a few. Let me see here. It is I'm sorry, it's 26 people. So everyone kind of goes, okay, well, they've got these people rounded up and there's nothing that we can do, but they think the Comanche are going to take off. And all the Comanche really do is put these 26 people on their horses and kind of pack them up and then go back into the city and just start unaliving people, anyone that they could find, because they have kind of sifted through everyone and gotten the captives they wanted. And they're like, okay, now we're going to go back and just take out everybody else. Like, we don't need these people for captives. We've taken everyone we need. We're going to wipe the rest out. And they don't literally wipe out everyone, but it's dang near. It's a huge percentage of the population that's there. It is. Let me get the exact number. I've got it written down here. It is. Well, it says killing more than 100 other Mexicans. So that's a chunk of the people that are there. So it's 100 people that are laying out on the streets. You can imagine any scene in your local town that might be a couple thousand people. If you had 10, it would be front page news, right? It would be a scene that you'd never forget. Imagine 100 and then plus 26 people kidnapped. It's very, very difficult to conceptualize today. Maybe something you would only see in a modern day war zone. And I don't want to specify any countries, you know what I'm saying? But use your imagination. And they had all been slain by hand. It is just an unbelievable tragedy for the town. And then the Comanche are, just like always, gone to the north. They take off to the north. But they had kind of chilled for a while after taking off. They had also unalived all the livestock. They had burned any building that would catch fire quickly. So there's this big pile, not only of citizens through the streets, but there's a big pile of unalived cattle, sheep, horses that they didn't want to take. And they took 1,700 horses that they did want to take. So they've got this big armada of horses that they're moving north. And they just kind of like strut back into Texas. Like, they're just like not really, they're not moving very fast. They're kind of stopping and chilling and taking out a cow somewhere and having a barbecue and just having like a victory lap on the way home. And Mexico was just like, Saltillo never seems to have recovered. And it seemed to have been the very beginning of just a terrible period for the settlers of Texas and Mexico, and a beginning of a real era of dominance for the Comanche that would carry on till kind of like the late 1840s, when the Rangers figured out a way to combat them effectively. Whoa, a $50 super chat from Nick Sweeney. Oh my gosh, Nick Sweeney, such a reliable benefactor of this program. Dude, that is, man, like I said, I can't thank you enough. That's amazing. So, dude, thank you so much. We only give you a hard time because we love you, buddy. So, man, we know you're a loyal viewer, dude. Thank you so much. That like makes the whole stream right there. Thank you very much. That's amazing. That's awesome. Oh boy, we got quite a few chats coming in here too. Let's see if there's anything else that I want to cover. Saltillo just took decades to recover. Um, I think the raids into Mexico are a really overlooked aspect of the history of Texas and the history of Mexico and the capabilities of the Comanche. Because you can see, let's take one more look here. Think about how far this is. Let's look up even San Antonio to, let's say, San Antonio to Saltillo, Coahuila, Mexico. It is it's about a 6-hour drive, it's 350 miles, and that's just from San Antonio. You can imagine covering that on a horse with many horses, with many warriors. It is just, man, it's an unthinkable feat. And to leave with, hundreds of warriors, hundreds of horses, and return with still hundreds of warriors, and at this point, thousands of horses is I mean, that is a top tier military victory by any stretch of the imagination. And I just thought like this was a real demonstration of the Comanche capabilities, and one that I think people overlook because it's like, oh, they just raided in Texas. It's like, no, they raided 300 miles, 250 miles into Mexico. That's just one. They've gone, into the Yucatan Peninsula. They have firsthand accounts of monkeys that only exist in the Yucatan, animals that only exist in the Yucatan. Um, it's just amazing for terrible reasons because of the unaliving of so many innocent people. But the war machine they created, I think, is amazing. And like we said, like this isn't a terribly great example of it, but they had a long-standing kind of peace understanding with the northern Mexican people and with New Mexico. So they were amazing diplomats, but they really were an amazing businessman. So I'm not trying to sell them as this solely bellicose war machine. But damn, when they wanted to be a bellicose war machine, they might be the best in the business. That is an incredible story to me. I think it's a really interesting episode. It's one that is a little offbeat for us because it's, in Mexico. So we do quite a few episodes in Mexico, but I don't know. I think it's part of the Old West too. And in my mind, and it's like it warrants even we should have a more holistic understanding of Mexico history to have a more holistic understanding of Old West history. And the same with Canada, to be honest. But I thought that's a fascinating story. And it's a relatively short summary of the episode. To get a way more detailed, way more intense explanation of it, go check out our latest episode, Little Known Battles of the Comanche. It's up there now. So when we're done here, go immediately there and click on it. And if you haven't yet, we got 48 people in here. We've only got 21 likes. So make sure you click the like button, share this episode with anybody you know who is interested at all in history. I think they'll like this. This is a kind of a wide open new kind of show, I think. So get it out to the people. If you know anybody, let them know about it. Share the stream, click the like button, and we shall carry on here. Let's see what the people are saying. Did the Comanche, oh, sorry, did the Apache ever raid? Oh, this is moving fast here. Aha, you guys still got me? That's what I was afraid of happening during a movie night. So I think I'm still good. Was there? Let's see. Everybody still hear me? See me? Skipped out for a second. It's like early 60s rock and roll. We're still figuring out how to get it all working out. Cool. Gotcha. Okay, let's see. I saw the Apache question. Oh, okay. Thomas Cloak says, did the Apache ever raid towns or were they just out in the mountains ambushing everyone like it's portrayed? I don't have an account of Apache raiding an entire town like this, but that's my own ignorance. Let me look into that. I don't want to tell you yes or no without knowing for sure. But yeah, they ambushed people in the mountains for a long time. I would be virtually positive that there was a story like that, but let me make sure. I mean, Geronimo's family was taken out by Mexican soldiers, so there's a long-standing enmity there. Nick says, "Unalive is so cringy. Is this strange to anyone else? I know he has to do it, but yeah, I have to do it. Like, there's to keep the stream monetized. There's nothing else I can do. It's just the algorithm affecting our language." Let's see. Oh, we got a lot of chats, man. Okay. Starlink rocks. Yeah, maybe I should look into that. It's probably not in the town anymore. Saltillo is still a town, but I haven't been able to find San Francisco de los Plato. I think it is Los Pato. Sounds good to me. Okay. Surrender Monkey says your pronunciation of names is quite good. I heard one guy trying to say Gulf of Mexico and he pronounced it America. It's a contentious. That's a contentious subject here. I'm not trying to though. Like I just grew up around enough Spanish speakers to look silly in front of them and semi-competent around people that don't speak Spanish, which is a dangerous place to be. Big mistake. Arizona Boy says big mistake. Do not dismount against the Comanche. But and I agree. It's like dropping your hands in boxing or something. It's like the cardinal sin. Like don't do that. But this is 1840, so this is prior to the Walker Colt. This is prior to Hayes's kind of revolution of the Rangers, which wasn't just Hayes. It was kind of a cultural shift, but I think he was the firebrand for the spark of it. But that was kind of the only combat that was known was to dismount, set up a firing line, and try to engage the enemy that way. So it's kind of That was just like the standard operating procedure of the time. But I agree. Like, don't do that. Don't do that, guys. What year was this? 1840, December of 1840. Should have stayed in town and defended it instead of going halfway out. I mean, in hindsight, yes, but they were trying to kind of put a barrier between the Comanche and the town. And they thought, like, well, we've got to drive. They thought once the Comanche hit the actual city limits, which is not, there's not like a wall surrounding the city. It's just like a city would be today. There's kind of a central part of it, and then houses, and then it kind of expands into the outskirts. And it's not, square mileage that huge, but it's they know once they broached the edge of that city, they were just going to start burning down houses and taking people. So they thought, well, we have to put a line, a barrier between the edges of the city and the Comanche. Which it's like, yeah, the theory is sound, but a lot of the classic mistakes that are this is what got people unalived by the Comanche in Texas was dismounting and trying to fight. It's just like it's never going to work. And also the classic feigned retreat, a classic Mongol tactics. Almost any plains or steppe tribe uses the feigned retreat quite a bit, where it's like they'll act like they're retreating and they lull you into some kind of mistake, either chasing them or dismounting, possibly both. And that's exactly where they want you, and they pounce on you. And it's so I read these stories all day, and it is, which is great, but I mean, it happens again and again and again, especially 1830s to 1840s, just over and over and over. And it is strange that they kept trying to make it work, but I think it's all that they knew at the time. Let's see. Sounds like the locals showed they had completely showed their hand way too early, says Pet Detectives. Yeah, again, in hindsight, that's probably true, but they weren't the primary military force in the town. All of their most of their professional soldiers had left. Most of their fighting age men, volunteers had left. So they were kind of left with this bad news bears assembly of cavalry and volunteers. So they weren't really expecting a fight. They were kind of surprised by it, and they weren't the professional soldiers of the town. So they were just they were doing their best. It's just like, oh, guys, don't do that. Let's see. That's what happens when you invade. Yeah, fair enough. Sounds like Juarez on a Friday night. Yeah, I think, but even way, way, way worse. Let's see. Let's see. Right on, Nick Sweeney for the $50 super chat says Pet Detectives. Yeah, thank you very much. And if y'all can't super chat, not a problem at all. Just make sure you click the like button. That seriously helps us out with the algorithm. The more people click it, the more I've seen the live streams grow. I got to thinking the Comanche went down into Mexico way down. I had thought that earlier today, says Happy Cappy. They sure did. They sure did. That's a trek, says Thomas Cloak. It's a trek, man, through unforgiving territory. The fact they were basically just chilling, driving all those horses northward without a care in the world is absurd. But they had it's wild, but they had already taken everybody out. As they had gone to the farthest point south that they wanted to go. Like, imagine if you lived in New York and you took out whatever that means, right? But you took out Pennsylvania, Ohio, what am I missing? Tennessee, Kentucky, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and got all the way to Florida. And when you made your return trip, you'd be kind of chilling because you're like, well, everybody's gone. Like, why hurry? The Comanche just they had that tood, they had swag. Let's see. They would, yeah, you know what I mean? Once they won, they were like, nah, we're not gonna, if they were assured of their victory and they were going back to a place they'd already won, that's kind of that's their way, man. Which is like, yeah, the rating and unaliving, it's not that cool, but the swag, hard to hate on that. They are the world's most effective form of evil, in my opinion, provided how much. Who are we talking about, Dan Robertson? We were waiting on you too. We were talking about you earlier. We were saying we hope you make it tonight. Crazy to think, but can you clarify who exactly you mean? Crazy to think that life was like that for most of human history. Modern day is the true anomaly, says Brandini. Yeah, I mean, that's true, which I don't disagree with, but also just to play devil's advocate, I think if a lot of these people were here today, they'd be like, what is going on here? So, but I agree with you. This is the easiest, in many ways, time to be alive. Oh, Nick, but the storytelling is priceless. Do you agree? I'm not sure what that means. Where was the roast badger eating story from? It's in journals. I believe it's from Jed Smith's journals, but it's best displayed probably in either Robert M. Utley's A Life Wild and Perilous, like in the Jedediah Smith. There's like 3 or 4 Jedediah Smith chapters in there. It would be the one where he's the earlier one where I forget the name of the chapter, but they're going through, I believe it's the Nevada or the Utah desert, and they come upon the Shoshone woman. Um, or Barton H. Harbor's um, No Ordinary Mountain Man, which is specifically about Jedediah Smith. Either one though is fantastic. Oh wow. Oh wow. We got some $10 super chat from Dan Robertson, up to $77 this stream. I guess so. I haven't even keep track. That's amazing. Let's get our professor a triple digit for tonight. Man, thank you. That would be fantastic. Thank you guys very much for the free, powerful education. Dan Robertson says, man, thank you so much. That means the world to me. Seriously, you guys, that's awesome. $10 from Pet Detectives. With you. I'm with you on that, Dan Robertson. Oh, thank you guys very much. Thank you. And I mean, I'm a fan of history just like you guys. So I learn a lot. I bring you the story that I've got, but man, I learn a lot from you guys too. So thank you very much, guys. That's awesome. Makes me feel like we're doing something right here. Don't get me wrong, I love HOKC. I think it has a disservice to us and the storyteller to dictate language as long as you are not threatening. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Nick Citron, for sure. I just got to kind of work with what I got. But yeah, I mean, this isn't how I talk. I don't talk like that in my normal life. I think the only way we can avoid that is to do this on Patreon. So we'd have to work something out there. But other than that, I got to tiptoe around it. They would, let's see. Thomas Clark said they would have had cover of the walls of the houses and banisters, etc. If they had stayed in their town, they might have had a better chance of survival and pushing the Comanche back. I think they're just shacks on the outside of town, on like the very, very outside of town. It's just like shacks and families living in them. So there wasn't like a wall to take cover behind. It wasn't even if they had taken cover in the houses, that would have given the Comanche too much ground already. They're already going to hit. They're already going to hit the edge of the town and be inside town. So at least by setting up a barrier a couple hundred yards away, they hope to divert the Comanche before they hit the town at all. Because they knew once they even hit the edge, they're going all the way in. They're not going to be able to stop them at that point. That's the theory, anyways, right? Like nobody's arguing that this was like the best idea ever. It's really a bunch of guys in a relative panic trying to come up with some kind of plan. Let's see. If I'm missing your chat, then my bad. There are a lot of chats in here, so I'm. Tokaleshi says maybe other than unaliving, use the plains word for it. The only problem is like I listen to a lot of streams, and that's what everybody says is unalive and a ton of other words that luckily we don't have to use here. But yeah, I don't know. Like it just kind of once you get used to it, and it's too hard to think of other words. I understand it's not my favorite thing either. A lot of all the live streams that I listen to do it, but we're kind of just beholden to what we're beholden to right now. It's like a defensive tactic, happy capper, but it's also, yeah, it is. Thomas Cloak says it's a defensive tactic, but it's also a death sentence. And like, yeah, I think they knew that too. At least they thought it could be, and then they thought the Comanche had turned around, and so they were like, "All right, well, let's get off our horses and pour a volley into them." And obviously, that wasn't the best idea. Let's see. Bama 8900 says pre-Texas Rangers, there was little in the way of resistance for the Comanche. Yeah, and even for about a decade of the Texas Rangers, like they weren't super effective. There wasn't a lot that they could do, and it was really the advent of the Colt Patterson and then the Walker Colt that changed their capability, and then the advent of guys like Hayes and Bigfoot Wallace and the McCullochs, whose attitude shifted right along with their weaponry and capabilities, and they were able, like I think a lot of the Texas Rangers before the Hayes's generation were willing to take the fight to the Comanche. I think they demonstrated that by wandering out in the Texas frontier with basically a musket, right? I know not literally a musket, but just like a single shot rifle. So they had the gumption to go do it, but they just didn't have the tools. So once the revolver came in, then there was a big shift. But yeah, and like in 1840 here, all you could really do was mass your fire, and you only had one volley unless you kind of staggered your fire. But it is a just a terrible math proposition. Like your enemy, there's likely more of them, and they have a way higher rate of fire than you do. They might have 10 shots a minute, maybe more. And you are going to get 4, maybe 6 on the high end, probably less because you have inexperienced guys, young men, and maybe their first combat trying to load and fire. So maybe 2 or 3. So that means at the best, your enemy is massing probably twice the fire, maybe more than you are. And with more guys, it's just as a math problem, it's almost impossible to solve. The only thing that you could do at that point was to take out enough of them so that they would retreat. But there was very little in the way that they could do in terms of offense. Now, that's not a blanket statement, but that's a general statement that is, bears out in the history of books. Let's see. Dan Robertson. Let's see. We're up to 94. Says, wow, man, really? Almost there, OKC. Let's shake the gates on this corral, baby. Let's do it, man. Big shout out to Nick for the 50-minute. Nick coming in. Dan Robertson coming in. Arizona boy with the $2 super chat. Wow. Thanks, man. Dude, ain't much here, but here's to a good time. Dude, any super chat is amazing, and it helps the algorithm. It really helps the algorithm a ton. So thank you very much. Bam Indiana, $5 super chat. A little bit to add for Trip Digit tonight. Man, thank you guys. That's amazing. Thank you all so much. And I have a blast doing this, you guys, just coming and hanging out with y'all. Thank you. Wow, Terry R with the $10 super chat. Wow, thank y'all so much. I don't mean to sound corny, but that's fantastic. Thank you very much. If you guys have anything else you want to, I guess that's okay. Tip for H. I'm getting your guys' comments in. I just don't want to miss anything for you guys. Let's see. And like I said, if you can't send a super chat, no problem. Just like the stream. Totally. That helps us out. 39 people, 37 likes. There's 2 of you out there that are holding out. But otherwise, thank you very much. If I lived in the Wild West, I wouldn't leave the town I'm in. As long as there'd be an army escort somewhere, I wouldn't feel safe, and I would feel nervous riding out alone. It's interesting you say that. The precursor to tonight's story in Saltillo, the mayor of Nuevo Laredo had put out an order that none of his people were to leave the town without a group of at least 30 armed men. He's like, don't go anywhere. I don't care what you're doing. The Comanche are in the hills. So, because there had been raiding in the area. And that was the hard and fast rule. If you think about that, that's a lot of armed men. And that's what it took to go anywhere outside the city. If you wanted to go like round up some horses in the mountains or check your crops or whatever, like, too bad, bro. You need 29 other dudes with you, and you all have to be armed. And you know what? That's probably the only way to do it. Let's see. And their town didn't get entirely taken out, so it kind of worked. Let's see. I'm beholden my 2A. That's what I'm beholden. Nick Sweeney says, right on. Right on, brother. Amazing Disgrace says, YouTube makes us speak in code. Yes, it is. We love, like I say, our YouTube overlords, but it is rather Orwellian. No dispute on that. Did I miss the answer on source material question? If you did, the source material for tonight is called, it's such a great title and I'm blanking on it. I put the link to purchase at the very top of the chat. So it's called A War of a Thousand Deserts, Indian Raids, and the U.S.-Mexican War. It is by, I had the link up. The name's kind of small. By Brian DeLaw. Fantastic book, though. It's pretty, it seems like not a lot of people have it. So I thought, let's get this out there. I think you guys would really enjoy it. It's, the chapters are a little longer, but they go really into depth. And this story was kind of just snuck in there. This story is from chapter 4, The Politics of Violence. But it's, what it reads like in some ways is it reads like Empire of the Summer Moon. So it's an easy read and it's really thorough. Digging into my beer money, well worth it, Mr. Sweeney. And if you guys are digging into your beer money, I really appreciate that. Arizona Boy says, not the beer money. Yeah, but I don't want to take your beer money, but I appreciate it. Let's see. Honor was a bigger factor back then. It was for sure. But these guys in Saltillo were fighting for their wives and children and mothers and fathers. Like it was, they knew what was coming. Let's see. Um, I think in total, there's an estimate. I didn't mark it in the book, but there was an estimate that I believe 850 captives had been taken, and a couple thousand people had been unalived in the totality of this large scale Comanche raid going all the way down from Texas to Saltillo and back. And I think 850 in that ballpark had been taken captive, and about 500 had been returned. So 3,300 people, were taken and never seen again from these raids as well. Let's see. Crazy to think about the real natural selection on effect on the Rangers that bred left a true battle hardened savage bunch. That's such a great point. Yeah, the Rangers were really subject to natural selection. It was like literally trial by fire. They would just all you needed was $100 horse and to get the approval of the commanding officer, and that's roughly about it. And be willing and able to ride with them. And sometimes you'll read a 50% casualty rate of the Rangers in Austin. And it's just like, man, they were just getting eaten up. And when you lost a battle, it was like, they weren't taking the Rangers prisoners. If they weren't unalived, sorry guys, if they weren't unalived right out, they knew what was coming for them. The big T word. Happy Cappy says, I lost my wallet, y'all. Did you really? Well, hope not. Hopefully that's a figure of speech. I think the Rangers, Bama says, I think the Rangers' way of fighting over time somewhat copied those tactics. Oh, you're talking about the Rangers copied the Comanche tactics? Yeah, 100%. They just fought fire with fire. Like they pretty much took the exact tack that the Comanche did. They even started taking scalps. So it's like, yeah, they just copied what they were doing more or less. Let's see. Which honestly, there's a little bit of genius in that. That's not stupid. Let's see. I asked if source material lined up with modern writing. I'm not sure what that means. Like, you mean the primary sources from the town? Yeah, he has it all sourced in the book. I'm not sure exactly what that means, though. Wes Studi, the goat of American film actors. Yeah, he's in everything. He is a goat. Do we know what band possibly conducted this raid, or was it a conglomerate of bands, possibly some Kiowa as well? Bama 89 asks. Yeah, conglomerate of bands. Seems like mostly Quahati. Well, it seems like Quahati, Pinateca, Nakoni, and Kiowa, but there's not an exact breakdown. They just say, well, tribes from New Mexico, tribes from Central Texas, or bands, excuse me, bands from New Mexico, bands from Central Texas, and Kiowa, and bands from kind of effectively, I guess that's Northeast Texas. Conglomerated for this attack. So yeah, exactly, a conglomeration of bands. And again, that's like still in itself pretty loose. You could have Yamparica in there. Certainly, you could have a mix of all the bands. It was relatively fluid. Saturday night date night with HOKC. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. Sorry, we don't have any wine and chocolate or anything. Thomas Cloak says no. They were T warders, more like yeah. They were pretty brutal, man. Like it's just hard to overstate, but also I think it is important to understand the Comanche's skill in diplomacy and in business, just so you don't lose sight of kind of the totality of their culture. But yeah, make no bones about it. Like they had no qualms at all with unaliving, with I guess orcharding. Man, I don't know. Sorry, I have to talk like this, guys. It's a fair point. It's annoying, but yeah, they were a warrior culture. They were harsh on other tribes. They were harsh on their own. So yeah, it's hard to argue that. For most people today would be, I don't know if horrified is even the right word, but just in a state of shock at what they would have to do to survive with the average Comanche band. They're just tough people. If I find it, I will send you. Okay. Didn't the Comanche freak out after raiding or finding a Tonkawa camp and seeing a limb in the fire pit? Says Artemio Moreno. Yeah, that's an account from Herman Lehman's book. He says that they found, oh, I forget how many. I think it's like a dozen, let's say something in that neighborhood. And they were roasting, or I guess, yeah, I could say this right. They were roasting a leg, is usually what you hear of a Comanche. I don't really know. I've always thought this. Like, I don't know how they knew it was a Comanche leg. I think it's just the principle of cannibalism that they were very upset about. And Herman says they swarmed them and didn't they unalived a couple, but they somehow I don't know how they would have done this either. But the account says they took off their arms, took off their legs, and then put them in a fire like cordwood, and watched them, you know, wiggle around. He says it was just a great time. He talks about it like watching just like watching a good sitcom. He was like, it was so good, you guys. Like we just sat back, we sat there, we kicked back, we watched them squirm around. It was great. He has some wild accounts in his books. Like the way he says things, like this guy's not lying, and he's not, but he's not like contrite about it. There, somebody messaged me that oh, this guy had severe PTSD, and it's like, oh yeah, I don't mean to discount that. And I said that in the live stream talk on him, but he certainly did. He considered himself a Comanche warrior still. Like he had no qualms about taking out this. He was disgusted by it, even in his recollection of it, by the cannibalism, right? So uh, it's an interesting book, man. It's intense. Oh, it's intense. They knew by the they knew by the mole on his leg. Yeah, maybe. I always thought that was kind of curious. I think they were more upset at the actual principle of consuming someone, but I don't know how you could tell it was a Comanche leg. But maybe they had, their unalived comrade nearby or something. But it's a fair question to ask, right? The Apache lifted hair. Yes. Oh yeah. It is discovered that parts of unalived enemies were cut off and eaten by victorious warriors of the Lipan Apache. By the Tonkawa, right? Dan Robertson? By the victorious warriors. It is. Are you saying the Lipan were consuming other people? That's the first. I mean, I'm just asking. Let's see. Let's see. This is what I meant about source material. Modern writing tends to gloss over the reality of the situation. Oh no, yeah, not in. Let me look at the title again, you guys. I feel so bad. It's such a good title. War of a Thousand Deserts. No, this isn't. It's not sensationalized to stake his flag on the kind of anti-revisionist hill, right? But he doesn't need to. It's just telling you what happened, and it's sourced really well. Firsthand, or it's primary source accounts, most of it, and yeah, I think he did an excellent job. I know what you mean. There are lots and lots and lots of books, especially in the last 15, 20 years, that are just like, this is an embarrassment. What is it? Forget the Alamo, I think was one that I heard floating around a lot a couple years ago. I was like, you don't even have to be pro Alamo, but this is an embarrassment. You're just trying to sell books. You're just trying to leverage your contrarianism. But there's like, it's just like a high school freshman paper, like, let's see, just trying to get attention. No wine and chocolate needed, just good learning. Well, happy to hear that, Bama Deanna. But if you have wine and chocolate, don't hesitate to treat yourself. Let's see. Apache weren't human consumers. No. Sorry, my eye itches. Truth is worth facing no matter how hard it is to reconcile. Yeah, I don't think you can reconcile anything without facing the whole truth. And that's true on both sides of any conflict. I've got a lot of inner chat too, so I'm just making sure I'm not getting into y'all's conversations. Any Comanche took scalps, but did the Apache? Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's see. Okay, got that. I'm looking for Dan Robertson's. Dan Robertson says, I pulled that from the Indians of Texas by UT just now. The Lipan Apache warriors would eat fillets of Comanche. Really? Okay, that I've never heard. I have heard of that book, but let me write that down real quick. See, I learned a lot here. Let's see. The Indians of Texas. I've definitely seen that book. I think you've been quoting that to me before too, right? But I've heard of the book independent of the chat as well. Okay. Cool though. Thanks for letting me know that, man. I'll have to look into that. I've come to see that some words are bleeped on this channel. Sorry if I've said something that offended anyone. Uh, are they bleeped on this channel? Like in the chat? As long as you're not saying I don't bleep them. I don't if unless YouTube does. Let's see. Everybody in this chat's always been cool. We haven't had to moderate or do anything. Amazing disgrace says, "Oh my god, thank you for acknowledging that." Oh, absolutely. That's a like it's the same thing for this channel. Like I'm not staking my flag on the um anti-revisionist hill, so that you have to say everything they say is wrong. But it's like, well, the truth is usually in the middle. It's like history has to be based in truth, or it's just fiction, and you're missing the point of learning it. You're not learning it. I'm preaching to the choir here, but you're not learning it to learn a bunch of dates and arbitrary facts. You're learning it to see patterns, so you understand your current world better, and you know how you got here. To me, it's always been like, those maps at the mall, or it'd say like you are here, or like the blue dot on the GPS. It's like it shows you where you are in this timeline and lets you know like what's around you and where you're going and where you've been. But that's my little soapbox rant. Let's see. Because I love the chat, I'm willing to do all the chocolate and wine for the diabetics here. True, you're taking on that burden, huh, Surrender Monkey? Let's see. Thomas Cloak says, no, I mean, don't worry about it, Thomas Cloak. I don't think you've said anything. And we're all charitable enough to not take anything you've said we're all charitable enough not to be uncharitable with you. Let's see. I think I'm almost caught up, guys. Any other questions about this topic, about the raid on Saltillo, or any of the little known Comanche battles, or gosh, anything else we've covered? We covered the Karankawa this morning. Dan Roberts. Oh, interesting point, Dan Robertson. I agree. The Apache were excellent in guerrilla warfare and gardening. Very true. Very true. And we've had the conversation of who would win who would win between the Apache and the Comanche. Well, obviously, yes, the Comanche drove the Apache largely. We're talking in generalities out of Texas, all right? In generalities. But should the Comanche encounter the Apache in mountain warfare, you very well might be looking at a different outcome. And again, this is hypothetical, but that is the terrain is a huge factor. And the Comanche or the Apache were masters of setting ambushes in the mountains, as we've seen with Apache Pass. So that episode was great. It's super intense, and I think that's one of the best examples of it. They would hide at a spring and just wait and just be like, "Well, you guys, there's only so much water in the area. We know you're going to come to this spring," and then spring an ambush. It's strategic genius, not just tactical. It's strategic genius. You should cover Satanta. You know what? I've wanted to for a long time, and I'm just going to write that down as a reminder. What a wild story. The dude, like, war chief, highly touted Kiowa war chief, highly influential political figure within the Kiowa, instrumental in kind of orchestrating a peace between the Kiowa and the U.S. government. And then eventually he was shipped to Florida, came back to Oklahoma, and eventually it was just like, this is miserable, and jumped headfirst out of a second story, maybe third story window. I think second story though. And it's like, bro, you you know what I mean? Yikes. Just like headfirst, like rough. Let's see. Imagine seeing that. You're just like doing your job, standing guard, and then you hear like a window break, and then just like, boop. Let's see. Nick Sweeney says, honestly, I never trust Thomas Cloak after what he did to my turtle. Oh, well, that's between you and Thomas Cloak, though. And I warned you about the turtle, Nick Sweeney. We're just kidding for everybody and for all the censors out there. Who is the greatest Comanche warrior in your opinion? Yikes, that's tough. Boy, I think the Quanah Parker lineage is very strong. Peta Nakona, Iron Jacket, obviously Quanah. Buffalo hump is up there. I'm probably gonna leave a couple out unintentionally. I think Cuerno Verde, it was a little earlier. He fought the Spanish in New Mexico. There's a couple guesses on who Cuerno Verde was, whether it was one guy or whether it was like a dad and a son who like the name kind of passed down to. His name is Cuerno Verde, so it means green horn. I heard different accounts if it's like one horn coming out of its headdress, like right here, which is like a unicorn, but I don't know if it's like a green horn painted green. It would look pretty crazy. Or if it was green horns like this on a buffalo headdress, they were painted green. Either way, it was horns that were painted green on his headdress, and he was like the bane of the Spanish existence in New Mexico. Yeah, buffalo hump. I'm probably leaving some out. Iron jacket. So you guys are agreeing. 10 bears. Yeah, that's a good one. 10 bears. He was down at Barton Springs here in Austin. There's like a plaque saying that 10 bears met the settlers here, but it makes it sound way more genteel than it was. So it's like, well, the Comanche would sometimes meet with the settlers. And it's like, yeah, sometimes they would, sometimes they wouldn't. Let's see, has to be Quanah, surely. Quanah, I would put up there. It's hard to make the call of like who would be the best warrior, right? But I think he's the most influential chief in the history of the Comanche. Let's see. Oh, you guys got me. Now, like, listen, I'm doing the stream right now, so it's not 10 bears. Yeah, 10 bears is from the movie. Who was it? Who are they talking about? Comanche chief at Barton Springs. I've been working all day, and you guys are kind of trying to trick me. It is. No, it wasn't Quanah. Come on. I'll have to go look at the plaque again. Yeah, it wasn't 10 bears. I get it. You guys got me. It's late at night. Everybody's coming for me. Let me look it up again and I'll get back to you guys. Was it 10 bears? Man, I got to go look at the plaque again. I was so sure that I had read the plaque correctly. Now you guys got me paranoid. Bamagiana Chief Wannapoke. I know that guy. 10 beers counting coup on the Blue Coast, one side of the road with his van of much iron. That sounds like metal lyrics. Let's see. Nick Sweeney, are you causing hostilities in here? I like it. Mix it up, bro. Mix it up. Okay, it is 10 bears. It was at Barton Springs. You guys made me paranoid for a second. That's what I get for doubting myself. One second. I hear like a clicking somewhere. I don't know where it's coming from, guys. I don't know what that is. Okay. Like something clicking around here, and I'm not sure what's causing it. I'm sure you guys can't hear it, but it's like weird. All right, let's see. What do you think of the greatest chief of all time from all nations? Ooh, well, that's a tough one, man. Uh, of all time from all nations, man, I don't know. That's a tough one. I'd have to think about that. What do y'all think? It is 10 bears. It was at Barton Springs. Okay. Buffalo Hump reminds me of Sherman, just blazed an FU path through the defenders of vitals. Yeah. He had the vision too. He was just like, I woke up one day, or he's like, I had a vision last night, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to drive them all out of here. And they're like, all of them? He's like, yeah, all of them, bros. And we talked about this before. And you guys, don't be too hard on me because I really have to use euphemistic language for this one in YouTube's to work within the bounds here. But buffalo hump, we talked about this before, does not mean buffalo hump. That's a euphemism for what they could put in like Texan and American paper. So they could say Chief Buffalo Hump did this and did that. But it's not buffalo hump. Um, it means like, an election that will not go down. That's what it means. And there's a lot of Comanche names that are like that. We talked about it before, but like there's not a lot of Comanche names that are like Running Wolf and White Buffalo or whatever, right? Like they exist, but a lot of them are like really rough. It's like, yeah, election that won't go down, or coyote private parts, or even Quanah. There's sources that say, oh, it means fragrance or it means aroma, but kind of seems like it means stink. And they just have like locker room names for everybody. It's kind of cool. Let's see. I have. Let's see. Yeah, Crazy Horse didn't hold out as long as Sitting Bull, though. Yeah, Sitting Bull would be up there. Crazy Horse wasn't really a chief, though. He's more like a revered warrior. He was, and then he had that kind of uh, unpleasantness with his wife, I believe, right? Or no, with someone else's wife, maybe. And then he kind of been demoted. I'm sure curious to know what caused them to raid so far south. Just that there's a lot of horses. There's a lot of goods to be had, and it seemed like they could have free reign down there, and they did. Guys, what is that clicking sound? I just have no idea. It's so weird. Hmm. Anywho, let's see. Mangus Colorado's could be Cochise to be up there. Yeah, Mangus really doesn't get his due though. That's a good point. And Mangus was huge. Wow, amazing disgrace. Simon Kenton would be an interesting figure to cover as well. Thank you very much, man. $10 super chat. That's awesome. Thank you. I've had a couple requests for that, so I'm going to write that down because we can do that. We haven't really gone that far east and that far back in time yet. But Simon Kenton was a bad mother. Shut your mouth. Like he was a bad dude. He was like the terror of his area. Let's see, in a good way. I mean, let's see. I'm going with Chief Joseph. I almost said Chief Joseph. Happy Cappy. I would put Chief Joseph. I would put Chief Joseph. Maybe in my top five. Maybe just because he was so influential and such a skilled leader of his people, which doesn't mean, in my mind, it's like doesn't mean uh, an out and out war hero, an out and out warrior, a bellicose individual. It means someone who acts with the best interests of his people in mind and doesn't budge from that position. Let's see, Chief Leshai, I believe is how we would pronounce it, and Chief Seattle. Yeah, especially in the Northwest, highly, highly underrated. Oh, you went to Simon Kenton High School. That's a great name for a high school. They have a Davy Crockett High School here, which is pretty cool. Bama Deanna says your ghost is behind you again. What does that mean, Bama Deanna? I don't need to hear that at 11 o'clock at night. It's freaking me out. I know, like the clicking seems to be coming from like the computer, which isn't ideal. I'm not sure. Let's see. Roman nose is up there. Yeah, Roman nose is up there for sure. I'm kind of blanking on other names right now. Leshy? I thought somebody told me it was Leshy. Okay, Leshy, Chief Leshy. Or no, I think last you told me, Artemio, that it was Leshy. I'm sorry, but man, you wouldn't believe how much heat I caught for that. And people were telling me both ways. They were saying, no, he pronounced it right in the episode. And no, he didn't. It's Leshy. Man, I got more pronunciation heat for the Battle of Seattle episode than I think I've ever gotten. Let's see. Disgrace said I misspelled his last name. Oops, no. Well, I know what you meant though. Simon Kenton. Isn't Charlie Crockett related to Davy Crockett? I've always wondered that. I do not know. I've never looked that up, but I just wondered because it's spelled the same way. TBF Chief Joseph, not really talked about enough. Yeah, because of the tribe he was chief or not well known in small tribe. Yeah, and they just didn't have this massive prolonged war that makes as in they didn't have like a battle of little bighorn moment, and I think that's kind of the whole point of Chief Joseph is like they were able to um not go through something like that. Let's see. I'm gonna be honest. I live in Washington, and I hear more Leshy than Leshy. No, that's why I'm going. If you told me you lived in Washington, um, I believe you, man. But you just wouldn't believe. You can go look at the comments underneath the Battle of Seattle episode, which is cool, man. All comments are engagement, so like I don't take any offense to bad comments or to negative comments. But uh, yeah, I got a lot of heat for that. Leshy says Nick Sweeney, and everyone else is wrong. I go with that. Arizona boy. What were you talking about? He talks about it in an interview. Let's see. I'm not seeing where was your last comment, Arizona boy. I'm lost on that one. Who talks about it in an interview? Is there actually a known battle of the Nez Perce or not? I'd have to look into it. Like again, it's one of those things like I just kind of know peripherally about. Yeah, they had an engagement. I read like a chapter of a book one time on a plane and switched to something else. But let me look that up. I'll look it up after this because if I look it up during the stream, I'm going to say something that is like, oh, well, this happened, and then I got it all wrong. So I want to make sure I get it right. Chief Gall or Crow King was fascinating. Yeah, Gall for sure. Charlie Crockett and how he's related to Davy. I don't know if he is or not. He very well might be though. They spell it the same way, so it seems like maybe. But there's a lot of Crockett's. You're going to think I'm crazy, but I have a vivid dream about Chief Joseph about 4 months ago, and I still don't know what that was about. I don't know. Maybe you should take a trip to Washington, something like that. Let's see. I love stories of the pioneers. Yeah, it's just an interesting era in history. Let's see. Charlie Crockett and he's related to Charlie Crockett is related to Davy Crockett through his mom. Perfect. There we go. I always kind of wondered that. Um, I cowboyed one fall. Brandon Lowry says I cowboyed one fall in the canyon named after Chief Joseph outside of Joseph, Oregon. Prettiest country you've ever seen. It looks like it. You're cowboying in Oregon, huh? That's an underrated cowboy place. Dan Robertson, I found a Tonkawa unaliving station today, a rock wall trapping bison off the Blackland Prairie into a rock wall. Yeah, for sure. Near the rock fall and wall, there was a butcher block with butchering applications. Yeah, man, that especially here, like around the hill country area, before horses, that's how they hunted them. And yeah, they still find massive piles of buffalo bones. And I believe there was a grease fire that resulted from one of them that burned for, I don't know, like a long time, weeks. Let's see. The more I knew, the more I'm amazed. That same here, man. The butcher block rock is sloped for drainage, sharp for scraping, and notched from intestinal vacating. Yeah, I didn't think about that. You would need like a notch for that, huh? That's a good point. Is this Central Texas Hill Country, Dan Robertson? Or Blackland Prairie? Yeah, there's Blackland Prairie here, right? Like Bastrop. Let's see. What's your favorite tribe to study? Jacob Duncan says, man, it depends. Everyone probably thinks the Comanche, but it depends week to week. I really like studying almost all of them. Honestly, I've been like that since I was a kid. Just really fascinated with all the different tribes. So yeah, almost all of them. I focus on the Comanche for sure, though, just because that's where my family is from, and it's the easiest for me to contextualize. And I think, I guess, I find them the most interesting, just because they kind of built something from nothing, and it's just incredible what they did, and incredible the impact they have, and incredible how much they terrified people. Like they know it as a Comanche moon still here today. And if you go talk to people like my grandparents' age, well, their grandparents were legitimately scared of the Comanche. So it wasn't that long ago. Same with Mangus coloratus. It literally means red shirt. Yeah, yeah, right, right. Red sleeves, I've heard too. I think the Lakota would have given the Comanche a run for their money had they ever had any clashes, though I'm not sure there were any. Not that I know of. They're pretty far away from each other. And yeah, like again, I think that just depends on location. Like they might do better in the high plains. They might get worn out by the heat. I don't know. Like that's a tough one. They are a bigger tribe, so numbers mean a lot. Let's see. Lakeline Park, Cedar Park. Cool. I know exactly where that's at. Dan Robertson found that in Lakeline Cedar Park or Lakeline Park in Cedar Park. No, I used to work up there. Let's see let's see. There was good reason to fear the Comanche, says Amazing Disgrace. Yeah, seriously. But also, it is important to remember that like the mountain men up in Montana and Wyoming, Idaho. I'm trying to think of other states. They would have been the number one tribe they were afraid of by far was the Blackfoot. They called them Beelzebub, which is like the devil, right? Um, that was if they were writing about anybody, they'd write about the Arikara, they'd write about the Mandan, they'd write about some Shawnee, the Crow. but they were every journal from the mountain men is just like, oh God, I hope we don't run into the Blackfoot. Let's see. People refused to surrender against the Comanche because they knew they'd be unalived in any case of torture. Yeah. I mean, there's all those apocryphal stories of leaving one in the chamber for yourself, right? That's I think I've only read one instance of I think it was a guy named Sam Cherry. And it's in this Empire of the Summer Moon, where that was like documented. But other than that, I think that's it. I don't think there's a ton of, but it doesn't mean it didn't happen. It's just like I think those are the only instances of it, or that's the only recorded instance of it. Though during it was the I think it was the wagon box fight um, against the Cheyenne, the Lakota, the Arapaho. These guys were trapped in this kind of wagon box fort, and wagon boxes are just wagons off wheels, right? So they're just wagon boxes, and they see this charge is about to come, and some of the veterans in the force that are like, oh great, we're gonna get taken over here, had taken their shoelaces off and tied the shoe one end of the shoelace to the trigger to their triggers, right, of their rifle, and then the other end to their big toe. They taken off their shoe and tied it to their big toe because they could get the string around their big toe. And the idea was to obviously use your big toe to initiate the trigger, right, with it pointing towards you. So it was rough stuff. They ended up not doing that, but it was like they thought there was coming to that. And like there's lots of accounts of that battle from younger soldiers just being like, I could not believe what I was seeing. And they were telling me to do the same thing. So it like really freaked the young guys out, freaked everybody out, obviously. But nobody wanted to be taken alive by any Plains tribe or the Apache. Even the Eastern tribes had way more intricate, involved, prolonged measures of torturing, like, oh, horrific, very like ritualistic, where the Comanche, the Apache, the Plains tribes would just kind of like do whatever they had. They work with whatever they had at the moment. Let's see. I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to learn some more about the Mandans, says Bamadiana. Yeah, I'll write that down. We haven't really covered them very much. They're a fascinating tribe. Very edge of the prairie. They live in their big mound huts. It was one of the first tribes that Lewis and Clark wrote about, I believe. Wagon Box is mentioned in Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee book. Is it really? It was vicious. And we did an episode on that. Just a vicious, vicious fight. Part of Red Cloud's War, I believe. There was, I forget exactly what comprised that now. But I believe the Wagon Box fight, the Hayfield fight, and Beecher's Island, or the Fetterman Massacre. Let's see. Can you do a Shoshone vid? I've done a couple, but yeah, we'll do it. If you want to watch a good Shoshone one, I would say either Crowheart Butte, which we did a live stream kind of deep dive on. You can go watch if you want to learn the basic story and the details of that before or after watching the Crowheart Butte episode, or the Bear River Massacre, which is the largest U.S. Army massacre of native tribes, I believe, in American history. And that was the Shoshone tribe up on the Bear River in Idaho. I forget the year, though. I want to say 1866, somewhere in there. Corps of Discovery stayed with them. That's what I thought, Pamadiana. The Corps of Discovery stayed with the Mandan for a little bit. And they encountered the Blackfoot too. And they were like, bro, the Blackfoot are crazy. And I mean that in like a reverential way. But happy Cappy. Maybe if I was still young and beautiful, maybe the Comanche wouldn't have unalived me, but I wouldn't have made a good Cynthia Ann Parker. Well, sure, you're still beautiful, but yeah, you don't want to get captured by the Comanche in either case, because her story is kind of like best case scenario. Either get returned, and even that didn't work out well for like Elizabeth Kellogg and Rachel Plummer. Yeah, Cynthia Ann Parker was kind of, in many ways, best case scenario if you got captured. Anybody ever heard of them stringing by their collarbones? I have not heard of that engineer. I believe the Comanche held their own pretty well. Oh, the Cheyenne held their own pretty well against the Comanche. They did, yeah. They eventually came to a truce in the latter half of the 19th century, but we did an episode, I believe it's Lone Wolf. No, what is it called? But we did an episode on a Cheyenne Comanche battle. I'm just blanking on the name of it right now. Lewis unalived one of the Blackfoot. Oh, yeah, didn't it? There was like a melee for a minute, wasn't there? We need to do a live stream, a conspiracy live stream on Meriwether Lewis. Because, guys, what happened to Homeboy? You know what I'm saying? It's a little suspicious, don't you think? It's not impossible. It's not impossible. But what happened to Meriwether Lewis? A lot of strangeness around that story. I'm underlining that. We're going to do a Meriwether conspiracy episode soon. The Comanche were mostly peaceful. Look, we portray them, I think, in popular lore right now. They do look at them as a little, like I said, more. They look at them a little myopically. They look at them as only a war machine. It's like, no, they were skilled diplomats, certainly, and astute businessmen. Absolutely. It is true that their culture was rather Spartan-esque. Like, it didn't have, in its early iterations, even in Texas, it didn't have a lot of the cultural complexities and nuances and traditions that tribes up north had, like the Cheyenne and the Kiowa. But those did evolve in the latter half of the 19th century. But no, they were down, dude. They were down to scrap. And a lot of the settlers in Texas had come from Tennessee and Kentucky and the woods back east, and they had encountered hostile tribes. Their grandfathers had, their fathers had, and they had never seen anything like this. That just blew their mind that this level of violence was happening in Texas. Let's see. Dog soldiers had the best war bonnets. There, yeah, dude. I think right off the top of my head, I'd have to agree with you. They just had. I said that yesterday or a couple days ago. They said, what Cheyenne Warrior Society would I join?" And I said the dog soldiers, just because of their swag, like the best swag, just looking super fly. Let's see. The genuine question: why didn't the Native Americans settle the lands? I don't understand why they're not huge, ancient, permanent settlements. Baffled. There's evidence of some, like Cahokia and other places in the southeast for sure. And then obviously the Aztecs, the Incas, the Mayans. But in general, they're nomad tribes. So, like, they didn't have a notion of settlement. They had a notion of um, resources. And so, they would fight over the buffalo lands, but their whole notion, or their whole understanding, was territorial and resource based, not so much on like building huge societies. Because especially on the plains, if you build a giant city, you can't go chase the buffalo. When the buffalo migrate, you got to just stay in your city, and there's not much you can do. So especially on the tribes, especially on the plains, they're just nomads by necessity. Let's see. And in a lot of ways, I think if you ask them why didn't they settle the lands, they'd be like, "What do you mean? We did. Like, we hunt these lands. We, um, you know, well, yeah, we hunt these lands. We travel these lands." But I think in their mind, it would be like, "We did settle this land." Let's see. Because, like, well, we came down and won it. Like, we came down and beat all the other tribes here, so we took this land and we did settle it. But there's a different definition of settlement. Um, Only know about the Arikara tribe because of the film The Revenant. Oh, really? Where they were made out to be brutal in the opening scene, says Thomas Cloak. Yeah, I mentioned this earlier, but check out A Life Wild and Perilous, and also No Ordinary Mountain Man. A Life Wild and Perilous is by Robert M. Utley. I'm looking over there because one of his books is over there. And No Ordinary Mountain Man is by Barton H. Harbor. Both of those delve pretty far into the relationship between the mountain men and the Arikara. And it was, yeah, they were pretty feared. They'd also get along for periods of time, but no, they were certainly feared in the territory. Definitely, they took out a lot of mountain men, but they're also like semi-agricultural tribe, I believe. So, not as war and raiding based as a Blackfoot. But no, they took out Hugh Glass. They The many mountain men feared them. Absolutely. It just depended on what territory you were in. I believe they're more South Dakota, and as you make your way to Montana, it's more Blackfoot. Bama Deanna says, "You just read my mind, Brandon. I'm not sure." That's good though. I'm glad that I did. Let's see. Oh, is Elite Super Grunt here? We haven't seen him. What's up, dude? Sorry for being late. And something else. No problem, dog. We welcome all kinds of people here. Hail chat and hail HOKC. Hail Super Grunt, man. Glad you made it. Let's see. I'm just running through the chats here. Texas had nomadic tribes given the lack of sustainability. Yeah, harsh seasons bred no comfort settling. Yeah, especially until there was the soil is pretty good, but they had no means to farm it. And it made way more sense to go harvest buffalo because you can farm for months. And let's say, it's basically just boils down to math. It's like, let's say that you farm beans and squash, and like how many calories are in beans and squash, and then how many calories are in a whole buffalo. So it makes more sense from their point of view to go get the buffalo, especially when there's at that point hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of buffalo everywhere. And like, well, why waste all my time trying to grow these crops and be stuck in one place when I can just go get buffalo and make everything from it too? It's not just that they're eating it. It's like, this is how they make their homes, their clothes, their rope, cooking vessels, just everything they had came from the buffalo. So it just seemed like a one-stop shop. Like, why mess with farming? And they had a disdain for farming tribes. Like, they just found it like a almost effeminate practice. The Comanche. Let's see. And that's several Plains tribes did. The Apache did. It's not that the Apache as much, but several Plains tribes did. And when they were brought onto the reservation and tried to convince to be farmers, they really did not like that. They saw that as an objectionable practice. Also, one buffalo equals more biomass. There we go. One buffalo equals more biomass than an entire field of corn. Yeah, seriously, it's just like a math equation. Elite Super Grunt, $5 super chat. Late for school tax, man. Not necessary, but much appreciated. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good to see you. We were wondering where you were. Glad you made it. I know it's a late night stream. I get it. There was lots of deer in the east and the south. Yeah, absolutely. That was the main hunting. What am I trying to say? The main species that being hunted in the southeast and the south. That was the object of trade in the 18th century, especially. That's where the term buck comes from, like a buckskin. That's why we call them bucks now, like our unit of currency. Lots of bear, antelope, and cats in Texas, along with bison. Yep, for sure, dude, says Dan Robertson. People don't understand that there was bear, jaguar, mountain lions, wolves here. So it was a much different place, and there was much less mesquite in Texas. There wasn't none, and there were much less thorns. There wasn't none, but a lot of that was brought up by the cattle drives that went through Texas. So it would be much more open landscape in many instances than we see today. Like, not as much mesquite, and more. You'll see a lot of maps that say cross timber. So there'd be like a lot of these. They're called cross timbers. Once you cross them, you go out onto the plains. There'd be like, to my understanding, like more kind of piney trees and stuff, and oaks and stuff like that. But it wouldn't be like these big expanses of mesquite that you see today. Some mesquite, but not as much. Let's see. Lots of bear. Okay, got that. I am playing BF6 with my brother. What's BF6 again? You told me about this, but I can't remember. Battlefield 6. Battlefield 6. Yep, got it. I remember that. Are you still playing right now? You just chilling with us and playing BF6? Indigenous American says same, playing BF6. All right. Can you guys play each other online? How's that work? Yeah, the Arikara were counted as unpredictable to fur trappers. Right, Thomas Cloak. They would like work with them sometimes and then not be cool other times. And it would depend on what band of Arikara you encountered when. That was a real hard thing for Americans or anybody based in the European mindset to understand. Because it was like, we did strike a truce with the Arikara. And it's like, well, you did with this one band of Arikara. There still is, Deanna, the South and East Indians use the deer like the plains. Yeah. The South and East Indians use the deer like the Plains tribes use that buffalo. Absolutely. So aliens didn't make people build pyramids, share weapon tech. It was just human evolution. Ancient alien artifacts might be wrong about everything apart from the hairy professor haircut. Yeah, that guy just took over the History Channel. I was like, who the hell is this guy? Who is this weirdo? It looks like a first shift Starbucks barista or something. It's like, you know what I mean? Get this guy out of here. Good morning. And he's like, bro, just give me my coffee. Relax. I've seen old aerial photographs from the 30s where you can see the mesquite trees following the rivers on the Chisholm Trail, places where they now have spread and overrun everything. Right. Yeah. It's wild. It happened like really quickly. The landscape would have looked significantly different. Like engineer is saying, there's not no mesquite. That's not what we're saying, but this way less mesquite. I know Cappy deer hides caused a lot of battles between early settlers and Indians. Absolutely. It's the currency of the frontier at the time. The introduction of the cedar tree was also not in vain. The frontier was established with fence posts, and they needed those bad at the time. Yeah. So the ash juniper helped Texas. Yeah, it gives me hellacious allergies, but it did. Let's see. What fascinates me is the copper trade in archaic North America. Traders took copper from upper Michigan to the Gulf via Mississippi and its tributaries. Yeah, I've heard a little bit about that. I think you mentioned that before, Quixotic Realities. It's good to see you, by the way. I haven't seen you yet tonight. Anything west of Cumberland Gap was the frontier. Yeah, basically for almost the whole of the 19th century. Damn, we have locust trees for fence posts here. I don't know what locust trees are. Is that Kentucky? But yeah, that's a good point on the construction with the cedar trees. So the cedar trees give me hell, man. All right, checking the chat real quick. Make sure I'm caught up here. I don't think I am. I think I'm missing some guys, so my apologies. Okay, got that. Maybe I'm almost caught up. Let's see. Give me a second here. Engineer says, imagine how many post holes had to be dug before poso became a word. Yeah, imagine digging post holes in the hard Texas ground or anywhere. It just had to suck. Even if you've ever used a post hole digger, those suck, man. Holy S, the juniper kills me too. There's so much in Arizona where I live. Yeah, they're just rough. Any of those tree allergies. When you think of things, imagine being in a tribe in a village and having that fear that your village could be raided or attacked at any minute by fellow tribe, especially when they awake in the morning. Yeah, that it's an idyllic life in many people's minds. And to be fair, there would be moments of idylity. I don't know what you would call that. But you'd be living in some tribes lived in a beautiful area with plenty to offer. Let's say the hill country, right? Lots of rivers, lots of game, and plenty of natural resources around you. But yes, you lived under the constant threat of a neighboring tribe raiding you. There's very little you could do other than post sentries and stay ready. And that's just how you lived. Like your grandpa lived like that. Your dad lived like that. Your kids would live like that. It was just like how things were. But yes, this is very, very dangerous. And there's no overarching law enforcement or military force to come help you. There's no federal force. It's just you and your tribe, and you got to defend yourselves. And that's never going to stop. That's how you're going to live your whole life. And it's an intense thing to think about. I don't even think we can understand it today. You read my mind about Meriwether Lewis. Yeah, we got to do a conspiracy stream on him because he's my boy. You know what I mean? I get it. He's not perfect. I get it. But he's a wild dude. And I just don't know if that's the way his story really ended. Maybe it did. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's not an unfathomable story, but I don't know that it's likely. I heard chestnut trees were much more common back in early America. I don't know that, but there's a lot more chestnut recipes. Everything has chestnut and nutmeg in it. I think I'm allergic to crowfab rattlesnake antivenom. You don't want to be allergic to antivenom, bro. Oh, is Artemis taken off? Where did Artemis go? Oh, get Artemio. Man, sorry. Artemio. Getting off because I need to get dust my dingoes and go crease my pants so I'll be pimping tomorrow. No problem, dog. You got to look good. Have that confidence walking out there. Thanks for coming by tonight. We'll be at tomorrow night. Come on back. We'll be back tomorrow night. Invasive, but not in vain, Nick. Without the juniper, Texas would be Comancheria. Yeah, pretty much. Texas, after the long war with Comanche, reminds me of post World War II France, obliterated and unrecognizable. Not a bad point, man. And it had to be, I don't know if it had to be built and rebuilt in many cases. People used to live in chestnut tree stumps called stump houses. I didn't know that. Let's see. They have to take out a mortgage on it. Does that mean you are rattlesnake bite tolerant about that anti-venom? Maybe. That'd be pretty cool. I've always wanted to live in a pit house. Well, things keep going the way they are. You very well might, man. Don't give up hope yet. Good night, everybody, says Artemio. Good night, man. Have a good night. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Was Texas counted as a Pacharia or Comancheria? Asks Thomas Cloak. It was first a Pacharia. Even the Spanish knew it as a Pacharia. When the San Saba mission was founded, it was right when the transition was happening, and they started seeing all these Comanche flooding into their area, flooding into their mission, and saying, like, you got to protect us from the Norteños. And they're like, well, who are the Norteños? And it's like, well, they're coming down from the north, and they're driving us out of here. They're unaliving everybody. And the Spanish were like, what? It can't be that bad. What do you like? You know, let's let the situation develop here. Maybe we can talk to these Norteños. And then the Comanche, the Wacos, I believe the Kichai, the Kiowa, um, showed up outside their doors, and they're all painted black, and they just ransacked the mission. A cool story is like one priest ran. You could tell. All right, I get it. This isn't like a religious point at all, but you can tell the devotion of the monks that were living at the mission in San Saba, which I've been to. It's not very big, and it's really creepy to imagine the Comanche surrounding it. But they really believed in what they were doing, because one of the priests like ran to the mission chapel. It was the attack is going down, right? Like everybody's getting hacked up. It's a bad deal. There's fire. Everything's burning, and one of the priests runs back to where they had the Eucharist, like the communion that they'd already consecrated, right? So to him, he's like, we can't let this, be taken by the Comanche. And he ran back and ate it. And then like right after, they came in and hacked him down too. So it's like, damn, bro, like, nobody can say you don't believe in it. Like you mean business for sure. But what a horrific attack. And right around then, that's when the Comanche were just sweeping the Apache out. And I think from then on, in Spanish records, or from very soon after then on, it was known as Comancheria. Let's see. I believe the French would trade and help arm the Comanche Kiowa, whilst the Apache via Spain. Yeah, for sure. We underestimate that. Like there was a lot of trade and European influence on all these tribes, depending on who they traded with. But the French were really good at working their way into tribal alliances, all the way up from Arcadia, all the way down. They were good at it. Let's see. They were really good businessmen and traders. And the Apache, yeah, via Spain. For sure. Absolutely. They were used as proxy forces by the European powers. I mean, the Comanche just took over. Yeah, it didn't happen overnight. And it wasn't every single tribe, just to like clarify it a little bit, because we don't want to sound sensationalist. But yeah, dude, yeah, what they did was crazy. Let's see. Engineer, you got bit by a rattlesnake and it leaked for about 3 months. Dude, that's the craziest story we've heard all night. Spanish were fooled and played by the Apache to build that fortress, thinking it was Apacheria. But yeah, it was actually Comancheria. The Spanish were played to make the San Saba mission, because they were looking for a place for the Spanish to come up and protect them, and for a place the Apache to hide and kind of make a buffer between the Apache and the Comanche. That's what the Apache's intention was. So they told them like, no, this would be a great place to build a mission. The Spanish were like, really? Okay, like we'll come up here and build it. And they built it, and it didn't go great. There was a mission in a Presidio as well. It was like a settlement and a mission. Honestly, now that I think about it, the Presidio is what's left. And it's about, I don't know, not very far, a couple hundred yards up the river from the mission site. But they surrounded the Presidio as well. And when you go there, the ruins are still up. Everything is relatively intact, and it's just like there's a little hill in the distance. You can imagine easily. It's a hill to the north, and you can easily imagine the Comanche pouring over that in the sunrise. It's like, bro, that's creepy. Let's go to Allsup's or something and grab a burrito instead. Let's see. I had heard it was a squirrel. I heard it was said a squirrel could go from the East Coast to the Mississippi River through Appalachia without ever touching the ground, and it was half chestnut trees. I've heard that before too. It's like if that's not, we always take that with a grain of salt. So it's like, is it literally true? No, probably not. But there's a hell of a lot of trees, guys. There's a hell of a lot of trees. Whose rivalry was more heated, the Lakota and the Crow, or the Comanche and the Apache? I would say it depends on like when you're talking about. I don't know that the Lakota and the Crow ever reconciled. The Comanche and the Apache would have periods of peace and then eventually reconciled, I believe, in I want to say 1855. But it was I think Nelson Lee has an account. Who Nelson Lee is like, I don't know. He's a little sketch sometimes with his details, but I believe it's in his account where they had a battle in West Texas in 1855, if I remember right. But eventually, um, I talked about this, and now I'm kind of I studied that part a little bit a couple days ago, and now I'm blanking on exactly who it was, whether it was Nelson Lee or Herman Lehman, but they had a battle and then decided, like, listen, the real problem is the Apache, or is the encroachment of the white people, right? The encroachment of the Americans, the Europeans, mostly Americans at that time, and decided, okay, well, listen, we're going to have to join forces to fight back against them. And I haven't heard of any like Comanche and Apache forces working in conjunction to battle U.S. forces, but it seems like they stopped the intertribal warfare. It seemed like a lot of that got squashed eventually because it was just as we made it later into the 19th century, it just became less and less pragmatic. But like Massacre Canyon between the Pawnee and the Lakota, I believe, was in the 1870s. So, you know, it still ran pretty hot for a long time. That one between the Pawnee and the Lakota was deep too. The Lakota just they really had it in for the Pawnee. I mean, it was like very vitriolic on both sides, but like I think I said it earlier in the stream, the Pawnee went to the U.S. government and we're like, guys, you got to get the Lakota off our backs. Like we can't stop them. It's the opposite of Dances with Wolves, who portrays the Pawnee as the aggressors. And this isn't Lakota hate. It's just saying like, man, they were sticking it to them for a while. Let's see. Deanna, I believe the Mexicans killed. Yeah, the Mexicans unalive Geronimo's family. I don't know much more than that either. He was out hunting and trading, and the Mexicans attacked. Yeah, he came back to his whole village being destroyed. That's why he had such a disdain for the Mexican government for so long. I've heard an account from a living Lakota saying, I now have Crow friends. I will never have a Pawnee friend. That's wild, dude. I was gonna say, I think the Lakota and the Pawnee is maybe maybe the Blackfoot and Cree, you guys. Like, if we have any Blackfoot or Cree listeners or viewers in the chat right now, let me know. But I think one of the first major stories that I talked about was I forget the name of it. Then we also talked about the Battle of Belly River. I know during that episode, guys, in the comments, there was Blackfoot and Cree members going back and forth at each other. Still, I was like, what did I stir up here? Like, it's still pretty deep running. Let's see. Both worked as scouts against the Lakota. Yeah, for sure. The Crow and the Pawnee. Yeah. The Lakota had actually helped the U.S. government in the early 1900s, I believe, against the Pawnee too. The best part was I never got a bill. Probably should have sued, but I don't roll that way. What are we talking about, Hal? I'm not sure. Oh, Dan Robertson with a $5 soup. Wow, thank you very much, Dan. What they did 0 day to the 8 What they did the 0 day to the 8th. Hey, nice belt. I'm not sure what that means. Can you tell me, like, clarify that a little bit so I don't mess up the super chat? I don't wanna not convey that properly. Mm, but if you clarify it, I'll clarify it on the stream too. I'm sure it's a user error here. The Sioux were pushed into Pawnee lands. That was the beef. Hold on. What did the 0 say to 8? Hey, nice belt. What? What did the 0 say to the 8? Hey, nice belt. Oh, I get it. I like that. I like the ones I have to think about for a second. What did the 0 say to the 8? Hey, nice belt. I like that, man. That took me a second. Let's see. The Lakota and the Arikara. Yeah. The Pawnee and the Arikara, too, I believe. I'm not sure about that one. Let's see. Some people lost their entire livelihoods after the chestnut trees went away. Yeah, for sure. Were the Crow and Shoshone allies in fighting the Sioux? The Crow and Shoshone had a complex thing going on. We talked about that in Crowheart Butte, where a Crow village had, I believe, I just talked about this and now I'm blanking on it, but a Crow village had got into a fight with another village of Shoshone who kind of ran low on guys and then called in their allies, the Bannock tribe. It was a Bannock tribe, right? I want to make sure I got that right. Yeah, it's a Bannock tribe. So they called in their allies, the Bannock tribe. They had a big fight with the Crow. They drove the Crow to the top of this butte and basically just waited for the Crow to pass away and then supposedly went up to the top of the butte and ate their hearts, supposedly. Probably did something like that. But then years later, there was a truce between the Crow and the Shoshone. A lot of it just had to do with American encroachment. So it was like eventually most of them were like, we don't have the numbers, we don't have the time, we don't have the resources to be fighting each other all the time when our lands are being taken from us wholesale right now. So you saw things kind of start to coalesce a little bit in the late 1900s, late 19th century. Yeah, guys, right around the time the Matrix came out, you're just like, no, not in the late 1900s. I mean, the late 19th century, guys. Bam Deanna says, I don't get it about the 0 saying to the 8. So there's a 0, right? And then the 8 looks like it's a 0 with a belt on. Goes 0, and the 0 puts a belt on. I still don't get it, Nick Sweeney. I'm just a single. Bammy, 0 to 8. Nick Sweeney, you get it, right? I'm just a simple-minded country person myself, Bam Deanna, but you get it. 0, and then you put his belt on the 0, and it turns it into an 8. Let's see. Were Cheyenne warriors better warriors than the Sioux? Oh, that's a contentious subject. I would say they're very comparable. That way I can make each tribe equally as mad. Let's see. The best part was engineer, that sounds like a rough deal, man. I'm sorry to hear that. I don't want to get in trouble reading that, but oh man, that's a tough time. Sorry about that, man. If you need to see what engineer said, it's in the chat. I feel like I'll get in trouble for some of the terms in there. Let's see. I heard an account from. Okay, got that. Let's see. Okay, my mind is in the hot box. Let's see. Your mind is in the hot box, Bamadiana. Cheyenne, most underrated tribe, in my opinion. I would say their best buddies, the Arapaho, might be. Maybe the Arapaho or maybe the Kiowa for like most underrated. I would proffer both those tribes because they're super cool. They have super cool swag. They're just very small tribes, but they're cool. Yeah, because the Cheyenne are pretty well known, but the Arapaho, if you're up in that area of Colorado, there's a lot of stuff named Arapaho, but it seems like not enough people know about them and not enough people know about the Kiowa. Most underrated was a Nez Perce. That's also fair. Nez Perce. We could go. The Assiniboine is a very like influential tribe. Let's see. I would say underrated. Underrated. Hmm. I have to think about that. Um, I'm looking through the chat again. Off topic. GFR. What about GFR? I didn't get to check out. I wrote it down though. You told me before, but I was listening to. Other. I was listening to like I said not American Band. I was listening to Locomotion. I was listening to Are You Ready, which is a fantastic song, and Foot Stompin' Music, which is fantastic. Both I think are underrated Grand Funk Railroad songs. There's an episode of The Simpsons where Homer is lecturing the kids on their way to school about Grand Funk Railroad, and they kind of like zone out. And when they're getting out of the car, he says, "For more information on Grand Funk Railroad, consult your local library." And I always thought that was like a really, really cool phrase. Live in '69. Is that Dallas, Bamadiana? I feel like I've heard GFR Live '69. I feel like it might be Dallas. Nobody was beating those guys though. 69 to 72 or so. They did the what is like it wasn't a bicentennial, but there's a full live show from LA that they just smashed. It's so good. Just an unbelievable band. And the critics always gave them a hard time too. The Kiowa were literally lapdogs for the Comanche, weren't they? Followed them everywhere. No, 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 no. They were just a very small tribe, but they had a lot of respect from the Comanche. They were boys with the Comanche. That's why the Comanche they had a little bit of a conflict for a while, and then the Comanche they were both kind of like, listen, you know, we're both good fighters basically, and like we both have very similar cultures. We might as well get along. And the Comanche had a lot of respect for the Kiowa. They were always DTG down to go, dude. And the Kiowa were really feared. They got Britt Johnson. There was a contingent of Comanche that had attacked Britt Johnson, the ex-slave cowboy, who was like amazing, like an amazing Texas hero. Who had his family had been taken by the Comanche. He had gone out alone on the frontier, which is insane. And but he'd gone out and made deals with the Comanche, actually got to live with the Comanche and kind of like reunited with his family, and then escaped with his family and was a cowboy again up in kind of northwestern-ish Texas. And him and two other cowboys were out on a resupply trip to town and got attacked by this band of Kiowa and Comanche that were some of them were attacking a wagon train a couple of miles away, and the Kiowa and Comanche just swept down over these three guys, and Britt Johnson held them off for hours. It was like a one-man stand to beat all one-man stands, and he knew who the Kiowa were. They were very, very afraid of the Kiowa showing up, and he knew once he saw the Kiowa, it was a done deal. All you could do was hope to fight as long as you could. But very, very similar. If you got caught by the Kiowa, it was the same as getting caught by the Comanche. But they're no, not lapdogs at all, man. Their own very independent, very fascinating culture. Let's see. Actually, like person for person, they probably had a greater impact on the history of the Old West and the United States, just like per capita, because they're such a small tribe. What all about the tribes on the East Coast got literally what about all the tribes on the East Coast that got literally exterminated? I can think of very few tribes from the East Coast. Yeah, they didn't all get exterminated, but disease took many, many of them out too. And yeah, some of them were wiped out. And I think they had melded with American culture in many ways, or been kind of banished to the hinterlands by American encroachment. I think a lot of it was just like they didn't have the technology at the time uh, to combat American and British encroachment, and they didn't have the tactics that the Plains tribes had. Because yeah, settlement pushed on at a relatively steady pace, so we overestimate that as well. Like if you think about from the time the Pilgrims got here until the Revolutionary War, settlement had pretty much gone to like Ohio. Like it didn't go that far, and then over the next century still in 1876, the plains weren't necessarily, they were almost settled, right? But I mean, American encroachment, European encroachment past the Mississippi had pretty much been stalled, I don't know, centuries. Whereas, yeah, so it made them harder to eliminate too, because they were able to spread out farther. But a lot of that is disease. Like it took a horrific apocalyptic toll. That's some of my worst hypotheticals in history is imagining being in a village stricken by smallpox or cholera, and you don't really know what's going on, and you're just watching people not just pass away, like ev- evacuate their bowels to the end. Like that's a horrible thing. And you don't know what's happening. You think it, I mean, for all you know, it could be a spiritual affliction. Let's see. What would you get in trouble if you said that not only hold on. Yes, I probably would catch flack for that engineer. Probably, which sucks. But I get it, man. I get it. What about okay, got that. Yes, but the fact that the Comanche allowed the Kiowa to follow shows how much respect they had for the Kiowa. They weren't lapdogs. They were brothers in arms, Dan. Exactly. Exactly. Let's see. What modern weapons without modern weapons, how much advantage did any tribe have? I don't think they had the numbers. Yeah, they flat out didn't have the numbers. Um, they didn't really have the technology to completely stop American encroachment. May they have stalled it for a couple more years or possibly decades? Possibly. We'll never really know. But I think the biggest problem was in technology and the gap in technology and in the numbers that they lost because and it's not a replaceable resource for them. People aren't really a replaceable resource. You can go take as many captives as you want, right? In a perfect world for them, let's say you can go take hundreds of captives if you want to, right? Let's say that you did. That might replace in a perfect world hundreds of members of your tribe, right? And it's better than nothing. But back east at what's the name of the island in New York where the immigrants come through? Either way, I can't believe I'm missing that. It's wild how your brain just goes blank. Help me out in the chat, guys. I'll read it. But either way, you got millions of immigrants pouring in from Europe, like millions of immigrants coming in every year. So there's no real way that they could have matched the numbers, especially of the United States government. It wasn't going to happen. Ellis Island, thank you. I knew that quixotic, but it's wild how, as I'm sure you all know, it's so wild how you'll know stuff and you get on camera and you just don't know it anymore. Uh, GFR sold out Shea Stadium faster than the Beatles, says Bamadiana. And Bamadiana, this might be a controversial thing to say. I love the Beatles, for sure. But if do you want to go see Grand Funk Railroad live or the Beatles live? 10 out of 10 times it's Grand Funk Railroad. Sorry, GFR live. Come on, let's do it. Did the Apache even have allies in terms of other tribes? Has never heard of any alliances the Apache had. It's like everyone raided them or tried and they were alone. Oh, that's a good question, man. Let me write that down. Another one of those things like I don't think I need to go look that up and I'll get back to you. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. And not that I can think of, but that doesn't mean there weren't. Nick Sweeney says Ellis Island. I know Nick Sweeney. My bad. My bad. I've disgusted Nick Sweeney. I'm having 3 conversations in 2 chats. That's 2025 wrapped up in one statement. 3 conversations in 2 chats. GFR always. Absolutely, Bamadiana. Farner forever. Let's see. Wow, 2 chats. Impressive. Engineer is living fully in the moment. He's a modernized man. Let's see. When I went to Boston to visit my friend, says Arizona boy, may he rest in peace. May he rest in peace, man. He took me to this place where the natives lived, and it was crazy to think about because it's glossed over, I feel like, in history. Yeah, there are some good I got a good book for you. I think it's if you like this story or like this topic, First Frontier. Was that the name of the book? First Frontier. Yeah, it was a really good one. First Frontier book. There it is. Okay, cool. Let me make sure I got the right book for you guys. I do. Okay, cool. This book was so good, and it's action packed too. And it's called The First Frontier, which is an apt name. I'm gonna put it in here. I'm gonna pin this at the top of the chat. If you are interested in the East Coast tribes and the war between the East Coast tribes and Britain, France, and Americans eventually, this is an excellent, excellent book. The First Frontier by Scott Weidensall. I've read it, man, probably twice by now, and I might remember 20% of it, but it's a great book. Possibly Navajo, allies of the Apache, maybe at times, but I know they were in conflict a lot. Wouldn't it just creep you out hearing the war drums and war cries? Thomas Cloak says, "Yeah, it would." And what honestly freaks me out the most about a lot of Plains tribes is their use of the wolf howl. There's a lot of accounts. Even Herman Lehman's account says they would use the wolf howl to let other members or other warriors know where they were, because you can't see. There's mesquite trees and stuff like that. So you'd hear a wolf howl, and then you'd hear another one. And there's one particular story of Texas Rangers, maybe U.S. Cavalry, riding along, and it's almost dark, and their Tonkawa scout hears a wolf. You hear a wolf like clear as day, clear as night. Out in the hills. Oh, and he stops, and the Tonkawa is just still as a stone. And he kind of leans this way for a second, and he hears another one like, oh, and he goes, oh, Lobo. He spoke Spanish mostly, and it means wolf. So it's like, oh, it actually is a wolf. It's not the Comanche, because like the second they heard a wolf howl, they're like, oh no, the Comanche are here. That is super duper creepy to me. It's like Teen Wolf gone bad, Comanche werewolf in Central Texas, and it's just so perfect for the Comanche. It's just such a menacing thing to do, menacing, psychologically unsettling thing to do. Let's see. I'd lose my mind. Let's see. No, the Apache raided the Navajo. Correct. That's my understanding, Thomas Cloak. And I know, I know that that's true. I was just researching the Apache Pass episode. But there may have also, I want to go look more, because even in researching that episode, I didn't delve into any periods of truce or docility between the two tribes. I wouldn't be surprised if there were. Creeped out is not the right sensation. Overcome with fear would be more accurate. I think this is how it would work, Dan Robinson. You'd be creeped out for like 5 seconds, like that's creepy. And then what you are creeped out about would sink in, and then you would become completely overcome with fear. But you couldn't be completely overcome with it, because those are the guys that don't make it. Like for sure, you're not going to make it if you become completely overcome with fear. So you gotta buckle down then, At least that's what I've heard. That's what I'm thinking. Have you ever heard an Aztec death whistle? Oh, I have, Bamadana. Those are, again, that is just another thing. Like, yes, it's terrifying, but it's also creepy. And it's kind of creepy that someone thought it up. It's like, how many prototypes did you go through with this thing? Like, some guy eventually came up to another Aztec and he's like, bro, check this out. What makes a crazy sound. But there had to be invented for it, and it's a creepy guy that invented it. A creepy guy that invented it. Let's see. It was a way to communicate. Yeah, it was a way to communicate, and it's a genius way to communicate. Don't get me wrong; it's super smart, but there's lots of super smart stuff that I find mildly creepy. My grandpa would tell me stories from his grandfather about the natives in the area they lived in. They'd come into town to trade, and everyone was literally up in arms when the bells started ringing. Yeah, so that happened a lot, certainly, especially in this kind of interim time where most of the tribes had kind of acquiesced to going into reservations. And yes, there were times where they could get off the reservation and come into town and trade, or even in the mid 1900s, people were still kind of at on edge around each other. Not always. Like, there's also many accounts of native tribes and native people getting along with their neighboring American citizens fine. Let's see. The war whoop is very popular as well. The screaming of killers will chill you to the bone. Glad I don't live in that world. Yeah, the war whoop sounds like the next level up in the communication chain, the combat communication chain of the Comanche and other tribes, where it's like the wolf howl is like letting you know where everybody's at. Like, okay, oh, there's my boy over there. Oh, okay, he's over there. We're all in place for the attack. And then when you're going to attack, it's, that's a bad one. I should do a better Comanche war cry. The war whoop. Okay, got that. Wolf howls are like tracers. They work both ways. No, for sure, for sure. But I think it's going to happen. That means if you hear the wolf howl, it's probably already too late, because that means, okay, even if you do know where we are, the attack is coming right now and you're not going to have time to set up for it. Let's see. It's too late for a good whoop. It is kind of, man. Like, yeah, my neighbors wouldn't be that happy with it. Though these are thick walls, man. There's dudes across the hall from me that, like, they party a little bit. They're like, I don't know, young guys. And it's like, I can't hear them ever. If I go outside, I can hear them partying in there. But in my place, nah, it's cool. So thick walls. But I don't want to try my luck. Let's see. The Yanks would say the rebel yell was pretty scary. Yeah, it was scary. It was scary. It's still a thing that's done in the South. You've probably heard it, Bamadiana. It'll send the shockwaves up your spine. I'm walking my dogs right now, says Nick Citron, getting literally meteorite showered upon. It's pretty nuts. Really? I'm trying to find one that landed. Really? Where are you at? Intensely scary, says Dan Robertson, especially with Stonewall in the valley. Yeah, absolutely. It'd be terrifying, man. And I don't like, if you're a Yankee or a Union soldier, I'll be a little more charitable. A Union soldier in his late teens, early 20s, you never heard anything like that before. And then all these, rebel soldiers or Confederate soldiers are screaming at you and coming at you, and they're fighting to get you out of their land. In their minds, they are pissed. So it'd be scary. I got one hell of a gritto. I'm convinced they based it on the call. I'm not sure what that means. It was just south of the Big Sandy Creek in Colorado. Wait, I mentioned this before, but my family's land sat just east of an old Kiowa campsite. You could see the rings of about 5 or 6 lodges. Arizona boy. It was just south of the Big Sandy Creek in Colorado. That's pretty far. I mean, that's, within feasible range, but that's pretty far north for the Kiowa. That'd be like Cheyenne, Arapaho territory too, I believe. Yeah, in Colorado. Yeah, yeah. Is it the Sand Creek? No, Big Sandy Creek. Where's the Big Sandy Creek? I'm thinking Sand Creek, like Sand Creek Massacre. Big Sandy Creek, Colorado. It's a tributary. Let's see. I want to see where it's at on the map, though. It is. Okay, so it's like a little south of Denver. Yeah, that's just kind of up northern ranges of Kiowa territory. But okay, I get it. It's a little northeast of Colorado Springs. Is that right, Arizona boy? Oh, Rebel Yell, says Dan Robertson by S.C. Gwynn. Dude, I need to read that one. I actually have it here somewhere. I need to read it because, yeah, S.C. Gwynn doesn't write a bad book. You read it before you did Empire, huh, Bama Deanna? That's I found Empire. I found Empire of the Summer Moon at the Nashville airport, and that was the first one of his that I read. Nashville airport is so crazy. At least last time I was there, they had like, this is Tim McGraw reminding you to check your bags at the counter. It was like country stars would come on and remind you to do things. Arizona boy says I got the wrong. Do I have the right? There was a town named Kiowa, so I don't have the right area in Colorado. There is a town called Kiowa, Colorado. Let me look that up. I'm just curious where it's at. Kiowa, Colorado, municipality. Let's see. Yeah, that's the same. It's like south. That's the same spot I was saying, right? Like southeast of Denver, just a little bit, not terribly far, but it'd be northeast of Colorado Springs and southeast of Denver. Is that about right? Oh, my bad. I got you. I was just checking. True Testament to God and State. The book is S.C. Gwynn's. I always thought that's a fascinating character. Arizona boy says, "I'm sorry, sir." No big deal, dude. I just want to make sure I had it right. I was trying to figure out, like, where would this be at? And it was my bad too, because I was confusing it with Sand Creek, the Sand Creek Massacre. Let's see. I'll make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, okay. I'm walking my dogs. Okay, we got that. Hopefully, you didn't get hit by any meteors, Nick Citron. I've returned. Oh yeah, okay. Did you come back, Artemio? Right on, man. They're just in my head right now. But if you want to go over my region by region strongest tribes, okay. Let's start with the northeast just to get things rolling. Okay, I might do like a couple like either or. I would say I'm gonna go Iroquois. I'm gonna go Iroquois up there. Okay. And then next, I'd say like Algonquin, Mohawk. But yeah, let's go Iroquois. I'm gonna pick one. I'm gonna pick one. And if you disagree, no problem. Let me know in the chat. Iroquois for the northeast. For the southeast, I'm going to take the Seminole. If I then we're going to go the southern Midwest, like Texas up to Colorado. Yeah, I'm going to take the Comanche. Northern Midwest. Ooh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. It's got to be, I guess, guys. I'm going to have to take the Lakota. It's between the Lakota and the Blackfoot. That's a tough one. Ooh, that's a toughie. Um, then Northwest. I'm gonna go. That's tough. Northwest, like Idaho and Eastern Washington and Oregon. I'm gonna go Nez Perce. Okay, I know we're kind of breaking this down a little bit there, but yes, I think that needs to be two separate regions. I'm gonna go Nez Perce. Then I'm gonna go the Haida because it's like they're like a Viking tribe. Then I'm going to go. So that's like the very northwestern tip. Really, it's kind of more Canada, but um, and if not, then I would go. It's kind of a confederation of tribes in the northwest around Seattle. So I'm just gonna take Haida for that area. I know they're a little north. They're north of Washington, but I'm for that general region. Okay, Haida, California, like Northern Cal. Let's just go Cal. No, all right. Northern California. I'm going to take. Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Oh, I'm gonna come back to that one. I'm gonna come back to that one. Southern California, Shumash. Those are my rough picks right now. Oh yeah, all right. Modocs. Yes, I was gonna go Modocs, man. I had a couple. Yeah, Modocs for Northern California. Let's see. Seminole isn't the South. That is Florida. Florida is not the South, according to Southerners. Really? I don't know what's considered South according to the Southerners. If they want to boil it down, I get it. Texas isn't the South, and I had nothing wrong. I love Southerners, man, but they have a very fluid definition. Don't they count Northern Florida as part of the South? And it's like, well, Miami's not. And it's like, okay, I get it. But like Eastern Texas, that's that's the South for sure. You'd have a hard time telling Eastern Texas from Louisiana in many instances. Now, El Paso is not the South. It's the Southwest for sure. But the South is like, is it only Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia? What am I missing? Alabama? Sorry, Bama. Oh, Artemio says Britt Johnson's dog got taken out. He did, bro. And even the dog got a scalped, which is like, come on, bros. Come on. Even if I was around, those are like if I was on the Kiowa side and my boy over here was like, hey, I got the dog scalp. I'd be like, well, dog, come on. You know what I mean? Come on. We have standards. Alabama says, who is their own category? Who's their own category in the South? Do you think who do you think wore the most disturbing war paint? Honestly, the Comanche, because it's just black. At least in their early iteration, that changed as they evolved. But yeah, just going all black is like like Mike Tyson. Like when Mike Tyson just comes out in shorts and black trunks and black shoes with no socks, you're just like, all right, well, like, what do you want me to do with this? Like, how am I going to beat this guy? We don't claim. Oh, so no Florida for the South. That's so tough, Bama. I feel like you should let Northern, because if you don't take Florida, Bama, here's a very important thing, Bama Deanna. Leonard Skinnard is from Jacksonville, Florida. They are the architects of Southern rock. So, and I don't like calling them a Southern rock band. They're a rock and roll band from the South. But either way, you got to let Northern Florida in, because if you don't, you won't have Leonard Skinnard. You're gonna like divorce yourself from Leonard Skinnard. You can't do that to the South. It's not up to me. Well, we're gonna have to have a meeting with our Dixie representatives here. I claim Florida for the South, says Happy Cappy. I think you have at least Northern Florida. You don't have to claim the whole thing. I get it. I'm from California. North and South is two different states, but I don't want you guys to lose out on Leonard Skinner, the greatest American rock and roll band of all time, without question. No argument to be had there. So don't lose out on that. Karankawa did tattoos. Tonkawa did backstripes, correct? Yes, to my knowledge. The Karankawa got some wild tattoos too. They got some tattoos that like the hipsters in Austin wish they had. Oh, Thomas Cloak says, now this convo I don't get as I'm British. Well, it's not that different from the UK though. We're like, granted, y'all didn't have you did have a civil war. Okay, well, we had our recent civil war in those terms, like 150 years ago, and uh, it's still a very divisive thing. Like, and even in the South, it's a matter of what encompasses the South, right? It's like, well, it's not just south of the Mason-Dixon line to some people, to Southerners' minds. It's a very specific geographic region. And if you look at the map in the UK, you might say, well, Texas is in the South. And it's not in the South. They don't count it. You might say Florida is in the South. This is obviously a contentious issue with Southerners, but I understand Texas not being in there. But to deprive yourself of Leonard Skinner seems foolhardy to me. Skinner's number one song, Sweet Home Alabama. It's their number one hit song, and it's an amazing 3-part guitar song. It's a great song, but their greatest song, well, Freebird, certainly. Man, they just have so many good ones. Their best song? That's tough. Maybe Give Me 3 Steps. It's such a good song. Swamp Music. They don't have any bad songs. Searching. Yeah, Searching is a great song. Honestly, I'd say Saturday Night Special. I know it's about pew pew control, but I mean, such a great, just so great. But that's when they had 2 guitars in the band. So I like anything, even their last like, oh geez, there's just so many good. Call Me the Breeze. I almost went with Call Me the Breeze, but it's a cover, right? But they just crank Call Me the Breeze up. If you've ever heard JJ Cale's Call Me the Breeze, it's like doom 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 doom. It's a little like, it's got some, it's chill, it's laid back. But the Skinner version is just ripping from the get-go. We made an exception for Leonard Skinner. I think that's a smart move. Smart move, Bama Deanna. Cayuse having a heck of a reputation in the Northwest. I might be misremembering my history book, though. Yeah, a lot of those tribes, I think that's a super valid point. I'm just not as well versed on them. And when I have studied them, they seem to act as a conglomeration, especially in the Battle of Seattle. There were several tribes who were all, I mean, they were tired of getting their treaties broken, basically. They converged on Seattle. And it was hard for me. Also, whenever I try to say, like, I'm going to mispronounce it now, Paleop tribe, probably mispronounced it. But anytime I try to pronounce their names, I get it wrong. Bama Deanna, Mr. Banker, absolutely. 4 Walls of Rayford, absolutely. Gosh, there's just so many good ones. Working for MCA, Curtis Lowe. Let's see. What are other my favorites? One, I think Swamp Music is a masterpiece. Battle of New Orleans. Yeah, that's a hell of a battle. That's a hell of a story, dude. Happy Cappy. I think the Allman Brothers, people are going to be on here soon. Yeah, I mean, without the Allman Brothers, there'd be no Skinner or a very different Skinner. Honestly, without 3. Skipped on me for a second, guys. Sorry about that. Don't you know Leonard Skinner Blues, Curtis Lowe? Yeah, absolutely. All right. Good picks here. Seen Skinner 3 times in concert. I've only seen him once, but it was great. Who won the Battle of New Orleans? Jackson did, but the war was already over. Nope, the Allman Brothers did it the hard way. I'm not sure what that means. Andrew Jackson, Thomas Cloak. Yeah, Andrew Jackson did. Dan Robertson says, Nick, with your $50 donation, you may request a movie to watch. Yes, that's absolutely true. I believe the offer still stands. It absolutely does. So, Nick, if you have Nick Sweeney, if you have a movie request, we're going to have to do it after tomorrow's movie night with the Comancheros, but it'll be the next movie. The Puya, yeah, it's Puyallup, but I think it's Paliup tribe. Brandon Lowry. I always mispronounce it, and I always feel bad. Let's see. What do you mean the Allman Brothers did it the hard way, Happy Cappy? I don't disagree with you. I'm just wondering. Let's see here. What did it do? Engineer. Okay, got that. Bama 89 says that smell. Yeah, that smell is way up there, dude. What's your name? Especially the last album, Street Survivors, had so many complex songs. Honky Tonk Nighttime Man is maybe one of their best covers. I'm trying to think here. Man, my favorite though. The one I listen to the most is probably Swamp Music. The one I listen to the second most. That's a toughie. Probably Call Me the Breeze, to be honest with you. There's a lot of like bangers on Give Me Back My Bullets, though, where they don't have three guitarists. Like Give Me Back My Bullets is dope. Double Trouble is super dope. Railroad Song is dope. What's that? This life that I live has took me everywhere. It's like a kind of environmental ballad. It's acoustic, but I forget the name of it, which is not typical for me. I know Skinner backward to front, but late at night on a live stream, I'm kind of blanking on it. But that is, I'm sorry, folks. It's a fact. That's the greatest rock and roll band in American history. Nobody beats them. Nobody can follow them. Nobody is on that level musicianship wise. Freebird has almost 90 different guitar licks. Yeah, Alan Collins rips it all the way through there. One of the most tragic figures in rock and roll history, but one of the best rock and roll guitarists of all time and criminally underrated. And my big point before I left was going to be that Free, the band Free, was a defining band. There'd be no Leonard Skinner without Free. Waylon Jennings, don't you think this outlaw bit got out of hand, says Artemio? Yeah, then that's the first hit confession, he says. That's a true story. You guys probably know. But August 1977, the feds busted Waylon Jennings' studio, and his drummer put his hand on the talkback button so Waylon could hear the feds talking. And they tried to get him for conspiracy to distribute, which is absurd. Absurd. They tried to run him up the tree, right? And he ended up getting off because he hid the evidence. He got rid of the evidence. But feds, man, ridiculous. The eighth wonder of the world is Stevie Ray Vaughan. I go see his statue here in town all the time. What a Mozart level genius. Let's see. Free, woohoo, let's rock. Free is one of the most underrated rock bands of all time. Absolutely. They influence so many bands, and we don't really talk about Free enough today. All right, let's see. I'll get back to some history talk here. Sorry, guys, get excited. Hank Williams, Kalijah. Hank Williams, again, a Mozart level genius. I'm sorry, I don't mean to say that too much, but Hank Williams is a literal genius. Like country music owes everything to him. Let's see. I went to the Maritime Museum in Rockport for a fundraiser last year and asked if they had any engines. The guy pointed at a Karankawa. Oh, cool. Yeah, especially if it's a maritime museum. They're right along the coast, man. That's an area we don't look at too much now. You find all the information if I can in British Protectorate. Let's see. Don't take offense, anyone, but do you think America got everything from Britain? Not really, to be honest with you, because we just had so many. We have huge German influence here. A huge German influence in America. I forget what percentage pre-World War II were like, self-proclaimed Germans, and then Irish, obviously, Italian influence here. So like we got a lot of our culture. I think the number 2 would be Germany. Thomas Cloak, it's the other way around. You'll find all the information. Not sure, I'm lost there. They flushed that good snow in the toilet. What a waste, says Artemio. Dude, probably several $1,000s worth. Waylon had $1,000 a day. $1,000 a day had it for a long time, which is a lot of money. That's 365 grand a year. Let's see. Thomas is great at sparking debate. He does have a knack for it, doesn't he? It's that, but he says it so politely. It's anything that British people say to American ears sounds very smart and polite. Let's see. Thomas says, "You took our language." That's true. That's true. We did. Though if you go to the South, so you probably won't understand what people are saying. Waylon passed away from diabetes. He did. It's tragic. But I mean, you know, it's yeah, it's tragedy, man. He died at 62. What a great artist. Is your iced tea cold and sweet? In the South, it is. Yeah, I prefer like I don't know. Sometimes you do need a sweet tea though. I don't want to say I prefer one or the other, because man, sweet tea hits when it hits. I spend $10 a day on my other habit, says Comic Dog. Well, no worries, dog. No judgment here. I feel like several people here do. Is let's see. You have to talk. Yeah, you can have it back, Bama. You can have. Oh, Bama Deanna says you can have the language back. Well, I don't know, Bama. We kind of need it. It's the only language I speak. I love chatting with the Brits. Says I love Arizona boy. It's an interesting to see their worldview. It is. It's different from ours, isn't it? Like it's, um, yeah. I have family who's British, and um, yeah, they just grew up differently, and they don't have as different of a perspective as I would have thought. But they even have like different little names for stuff, and so you sometimes just don't know what they're talking about, and they don't know what we're talking about. No, we're allies technically. Yeah, for sure. Well, we made the English language ours too. Oh boy, Thomas, you got us rolling now. Drinking herbal tea after killing a 12 pack of White Claws. I've never had White Claws, man. Are they good? We are all humans in time at places love and grow with God. I agree, Dan Robertson. We're just having some fun, man. But I love the Brits, man. I have a good time with the Brits and the Germans. I've never had a bad time around the Europeans. Nobody knows what I'm talking about, Bamadiana says. What do you mean? Let me see if I can figure it out. Bamadiana says, I don't drink coffee or tea at all. Well, what do you drink? Wine? Thomas Cloak says, we are a badly run country. Yeah. Yeah. It's rough all around. I'll say that. Oh, your accent. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You just have to get used to it. And to me, there are some places in the South where you can hear the British origins in the accent. Like it maybe sometimes sounds like a little Australian, but you can hear where it came from. Y'all in some deep crap, Thomas says, happy Cappy. I think your president secretly, oh boy. We'll skip over that. We'll skip over that. The people in the chat are going to see it though. I don't know. Y'all can sort it out in there. Let's see. A Tidewater accent. Yeah, Artemio. That's what I was thinking of. Tidewater. It's like, that sounds like you came over from Britain, like, or from the UK, like 5 years ago. You know what I mean? It just sounds like very British still. Let's see. I am I'm used to it. It's me talking. Yeah, I have a lot of family from Central Texas, and like I remember when I was a little kid, they'd come check on us outside. You go play outside, and they'd be like, "Hi, what y'all doing over?" And you'd hear that. You're like, "What y'all doing over?" And that meant like you had to go check in. You are lucky you are not British, Surrender Monkey. I have to stay awake all night just for the Americans to call me an idiot. Well, I'm not calling you an idiot, bro. Like I said, I have family from the UK, so I love y'all. Robert A. Lee had I never thought about that. Robert E. Lee would have a Tidewater accent. Dude, I never thought about that. That's crazy. Dan Robertson says, we love you. Absolutely, Thomas. We love you. We love Surrender Monkey. I'm glad you guys are here, man. You guys, they have to wake up early for the stream. It's amazing that they're here. Dan Robertson says, sorry about that revolution. Pretty good at that Southern accent there. Oh, that's the thing. That's how my family talks, you know? Let's see. Well, my family in Texas and my family in California, we have the whole valley has this Okie accent. If you hear Merle Haggard talks like that. And that's how all the old guys from like Central Valley in the 30s, that's my grandpa had that accent, and we still have it now. 6:30 a.m. says Thomas Cook. That's crazy, man. Well, thank you for being here, dog. That's awesome. Wow, we're at like 2.5 hours already. Let's see here. The U.S. Unbroken Oak Media. The U.S. didn't take the language or anything from the British. We came here as British and then broke away in a little thing called the Revolutionary War. That's true. We did. We did. Nobody can take that from us, bro. We did. Anybody run across the Juicy Carter Fillmore experiment with all the Allman Brothers at the Fillmore? Dude, I've heard of this. He did the same thing to Dickie with the sax that Yoko once did to Chuck Berry. What? Wait, like he just started making noise? 12:30 on God's time. That's right here in Texas. We run on the good Lord's clock, and it is 12:30 here. That's wild. It's like after midnight. That's wild. After midnight. Let's see. Anybody? Okay, we got that. 2 hour 30 on the stream is wild. That is wild, dog. We'll wrap it up here pretty soon. So shoot, I gotta get to bed. I gotta get up for the morning. But it's a rock and roll show too, though, you know? So hey, no worries about the revolution. Now you must accept evolution, says Surrender Monkey. Let's see. No hard feelings, though, you guys. We fought a couple world wars together. Come on, we all get along now. But we need, just for old time's sake, we do need a little trash talk back and forth. Europe and America will reunite in the near future, says Amazing Disgrace. We shall see. We shall see, man. Happy Sunday, y'all, says Nick Sweeney. Happy Sunday, Nick Sweeney. Glad you're here again, man. Glad it's Sunday. Let's see. I'm going to check the chats real quick. We'll start wrapping up here in a couple minutes, guys. That way everybody can get to bed at a reasonable hour. I got to get up for church in the morning, as I'm sure some of you do and some of you do not. I'm just kidding. Let's see. Thank you for hosting us, Dan Robinson says. You deserve the gratitude for helping us grow for the past couple of hours instead of idle. Your effort is becoming a product, and that product, man, thank you so much. And that product is amazing. Thank you all so much. I'm always amazed when people tune in. This is just kind of a off the cuff idea. So, like I said, I learn a lot from y'all, and sounds overly saccharine, right? But say no, I seriously appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in, because you're what makes the show possible. So I'm having time of my life doing this. This is a blast. It's still Saturday. Oh, that's right. Artemio, you're back on the West Coast. So it's still like 10:30 for you. Let's see. I like when I go home and visit, though, because I look like a early bird. It's like if I wake up at 9 o'clock Texas time, I wake up at 7 o'clock California time. So I look like a go-getter. Mr. HOKC Mushroom Mama selects our next film. Mushroom Mama. You can make that call, Nick Sweeney, because you threw it down tonight. Who's Mushroom Mama, though? Do I see a Mushroom Mama? At Thomas. Oh, yeah, Thomas Cloak. Am I the only Brit here? No, you are not. There's Surrender Monkey. I feel like we have another Brit in here, too. I know Surrender Monkey for sure, though. You are not the only human, though, Thomas, says Dan Robertson. We are here. No. We're all humans. What movie did you pick, Nick? Okay, was it the Comancheros? No, Terry R. picked the Comancheros, which I think you guys will like. I got that. I just didn't want to do it tonight because you can see the Wi-Fi has been sketched. So I thought, I don't want to just skip out during the movie. For us night owls, the day doesn't change until I go to bed for the night and awake in the morning. Yeah, I'm a night owl for sure. Always have been. The people that wake up people are like, oh, woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and ran 10 miles. It's just like, yeah, well, I'll run. You know what I mean? It's fine, but I'm not going to do it. Why do I have to do it at 4 in the morning? Dan Robinson. Okay. You are not the only Brit, though, Thomas Cloak. No. And we've had Aussies and South Americans, South Africans. We have people from all over. It's amazing. Bama Deanna says, Thomas Cloak, most of my ancestors came directly from London. My DNA says 90% English. Nice. We're all family here at the HOKC stream. That's right, HOKC Nation. Can we still say that? Is nation a thing? Or are we HOKC family? What do you guys think? HOKC, Team HOKC? The HOKC cartel? I don't know if we can do that one. 100% English. Then Bama says, you're 100% English, Thomas Cloak. Checking in, floating around. What's up, Mojo? Good to see you again, dude. On a lot of streams tonight on Mod 4. Yeah, we haven't even. I'll get some of you guys to be mods if you want, because I don't know. We haven't had any problems. We haven't had any need for mods, but maybe we will. Maybe we'll get some wild stuff going on here. HOKC gang gang, the HOKC crew. I like that. I like that. I like those. I like both of those. Let's kick those around for a little bit. See what feels best. Let's see. My choice was paint your wagon. What's your going to be your? Okay. Oh, Cappy is the mushroom girl. Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Okay. If you, I might have shown my hand there to say like, oh, Cappy, mushroom girl. That makes sense. So, take from that what you will. Yeah, Cappy, if you want to make the pick, make it. Because Nick Sweeney smashed it with Paint Your Wagon. Be honest with you, Nick Sweeney, that was so good. I really like that movie. I've been thinking about that this week. HOKC Rangers. I like that. I like that. HOKC Tribe. That's pretty good. I like that. Let's just we'll kick them around. We'll try different introductions. I'll say like, welcome in HOKC Tribe. Welcome in to the HOKC Rangers. And we'll feel it out. Bama Deanna says, I get it now. Thanks, Bama. You get it. You get it. Oh, dang. Nick, should we watch John Wayne at the Alamo? Yeah, if you want to, I believe I try to pick ones that are free on YouTube, but I think that is free on YouTube. John Wayne Alamo. The Alamo is free on YouTube with John Wayne. John Wayne's your favorite actor. He's underrated, dude. He's good, man. People give him crap nowadays. Some people do, but it's like, yeah, he could carry a film. What about the 2004 Alamo, says Artemio? Yeah, I'm open for either. I don't think the 2004 version is free on YouTube, but I haven't watched it in its entirety, and it seems like from what I've watched that it got a little too much flack. It doesn't look that bad. Alamo 2004. I like Billy Bob Thornton. It is available to rent, so it'll be $3 or $4. I think it's four. Honestly, I think it's $4.20. Like the price is actually $4.20 to rent the movie. What's the old True Grit than the new True Grit? True. I will always prefer the old, but I thought Matt Damon's character in that movie playing the Texan was like pretty damn good. The chat is well behaved for most times, unless it's Sweeney. True, but Sweeney mixes it up for us. But otherwise, yeah, no, it's been very civil. And Sweeney is a gentleman. Nick Sweeney's a gentleman. He's just having a good time. We need Nick Sweeney. We need that tood and that swagger. Let's see. Apparently he had dark secrets, John Wayne, and wasn't nice as people thought he was. I mean, like, I wouldn't totally doubt that. I don't want to say that for sure, but I mean, come on, a Hollywood actor. John Wayne was the greatest John Wayne was the greatest Mongolian of all time. That was like a little regrettable. We can't find anybody else to play Genghis Khan. It has to be John Wayne. Bama Deanna says hotboxing. I'm unfamiliar with that term. The chat is well behaved. Got that. I think you got my hot box too. What? I have a mushroom tattoo with a purple ring under it. You do, Bama Deanna? That's wild. Oh, I get it now. Okay. I think you got my hot box too. Hot boxing. I'm not sure what that means, Bama Deanna. Watch all the old True Grit. Okay, we got that one. My head was in the hot box. I've heard that's the way to do it. Favorite John Wayne movie, people. The Searchers for me. Artemio is calling me Charles Gatewood again. I'll take that though. I think that's a compliment. Let's see. I realized your doppelganger was born the same day. Oh, really? Charles Gatewood was? Maybe that's a sign, man. Was Matt Damon in Brokeback Mountain? No, Heath Ledger. Not that I just off the top of my head, like, no. But I know it was Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal, though. I know it was those two. The Searchers, 100%. Yeah, I would say Searchers. Rooster Cogburn, that's a good answer, though. For me, too, my second would be the Cowboys, just because I grew up watching the Cowboys over and over and over. I thought it was such a cool concept. Bam Deanna says Grassmaster. Yeah. My head was in the hot box. I was high. Yeah. I'm bagging what you're mowing, Bam Deanna, for sure. Oh, you all love me. You really, really love me, says Nick Sweeney. Oh, we adore you, Nick Sweeney. I mean, you made the chat tonight, bro. Like seriously, thank you again. Hotboxing is when you fight while being overweight. In reality, it's just sweaty, messy, and kind of lazy. I've never heard that when being overweight. I've never heard that, Surrender Monkey. I've always heard it to be something else. Elite Super Grunt says they're Irish and Spanish in my area. That's a good combination, man. That's a good combination. It's actually the Comanche tribe in the Searchers film. Yeah, it's a true story of James Parker, who after the Parker raid, he went out trying to find his family. He went out with like no weapons. He went out with nothing. He should never have survived. And he went out several times looking for his family, for Rachel Plummer, Elizabeth Kellogg, Cynthia Ann Parker, her brother, whose name, oh man, I can't believe his name's escaping me right now. But yeah, The Searchers is a true story. You tipped the scales tonight, Nick. Yeah, absolutely. Excellent job leading the corral into battle tonight. Absolutely, Dan Robertson. Couldn't agree more. Hotboxing meant I was smoking a cigarette too quickly. I've heard it means different things. I will say that. Elite is the only human. He's the most human among us. I would say that. I need to sleep, but I also want to finish my next episode I'm working on. Well, don't push yourself too hard, dog. I would say that. I would say that. Even like one episode a week is pretty good. It's better to have, I'll give you some like inside baseball right now, but it's better to have like 4 episodes, one a week for a month than it is to have 4 episodes in a week and then nothing for a while. So like however you can steadily feed the algorithm, and you want it to build from like slow to like picking up. So you don't want to like do a bunch for 6 months and then have nothing. You want to like start slow and then keep building it. And that can be slow and it builds over a month, right? But that's generally the way it seems that the algorithm finds you best. Though, man, it's a tough game too. So sometimes it feels like the algorithm doesn't find you and you got to just keep working it. Let's see. I never smoked a cigarette in my life, says Bama Deanna. I think it's kind of fallen out of vogue, right? Well, the cigarettes are kind of coming back, but man, I need me a red, yellow belly. I need me a red and a yellow belly tomorrow. I got to feel like I'm going to chase some cows. Nothing wrong with that, bro. That's cowboy talk. Hit that like, y'all. Yeah, if you're in here and you haven't hit the like button already, hit the like, share the stream with anybody who likes history. Hotboxing is when you, I don't know if I can say that, whatever, but I get it. I agree with your definition. And I'm sure Bama Deanna's definition engineer. Bama Deanna says, no, they all vape now. Yeah, there's a bunch of different modalities that are hip now. I was thinking about that too. I was just thinking about the churning out a lot than dropping off periodically. Yeah, it's better to have just a consistent one a week release, Arizona. But you're already off to a good start. Just like take a break when you need to. I'd say that. I've learned from experience. You can burn out. Let's see. Real cowboys smoke tobacco, says Quixotic. Some of them do. Yeah. I would say, but I don't know. I would say that. And then every time I say that, like I have met cowboys that are just like, I love whatever, White Claw. And it's like, really? You would think they all drink yellow bellies, but hey, it's to each their own. Cigarettes should be banned, says Bama Deanna. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a cigarette smoker. I've never been. Sometimes I like the smell though, but that's just me being weird. You heard the story that the Apaches, like the last of them, still raiding in the 1930s in mountains. Can't remember the name of the mountains. Yeah, I've heard that there was allegedly raids into the early 1900s. I haven't been able to verify that though. I'd have to go look for that, Thomas Cloak. I'll take your advice, sir. You know the best. I've made all the mistakes. I know that. Funny enough, I had a chat with Josh over the. Oh yeah, great man. Josh is a super cool guy, and he can give you his advice as well. Like he knows what he's doing. Yeah, I keep meaning to hit him up to do a stream. Like we've just been super. This is the end of the year is like super busy for YouTubers, so we'll have him on at some point, man. I talked with Josh quite a bit. He's a super cool guy, super well educated and well read on Old West history. And he did the same thing. He just started making videos, That's the way to do it. I cowboy for a living, says Brandon Lowry, and I like White Claws and creamer in my. Yeah, exactly, dude. Exactly. Like I hate to make generalizations, but it's like I met so many cowboys. It's like I met a lot of them that just drink yellow bellies and smoke Marlboro Reds for sure. But I met a lot of them that like cream in their coffee and White Claws and all sorts of stuff. People are people. Let's see. I'm surprised y'all haven't rubbed shoulders more often. Oh, with Josh, yeah, we're just been busy, but we're in contact once a month or so, and we met on a Zoom call and just like hung out and kind of met each other a couple months ago, and we will do stuff in the future. We're all just like super busy right now, but yeah, I've been a big fan for a long time. I was listening to Wild West Extravaganza when it was the Bloody Beaver podcast back in the early days. Nearly 7 a.m. and still trying to stay till the end of the stream. Okay, man. Okay, we won't want to hold you. Like I get it. Everybody needs to go to bed too. All right, so let's see. Happiness fungus. I give freely and absolutely. The absolute choice is yours, sweetheart. I like John Wayne. Okay, so wait. We're talking about Happy Cappy, right? So Happy Cappy, yeah. Just if you don't want to, if you can't think of it right now, I mean, you could think of it through the week. We'll do usually movie nights are Saturday. Tonight's kind of an exception, but you have all week to think about it. Happy Cappy. I'm surprised y'all haven't rubbed soul. Okay, we got that. Nearly 7 a.m. But yes, Josh, great channel. Wild West Extravaganza, great research. It'd be a great resource for you too, Arizona boy. Wacky tobacco is an older term than most people think. It is. Yes. Uh, okay, got that. Windows rolled up. That's hotboxing, says Bama. That's my understanding, Bama. Let's see. Surrender Monkey says, I've never taken a rug. I didn't enjoy apart from the ones that I steal. They make me feel guilty. Boy, you wild, Surrender Monkey. You wild, bro. Like to party. All right. All right. Hit the like 420 times, says Mojo. Even 450 times. We'll take that. Just hit the like. Hit the like. I was okay. We'll see. We got some partiers in here. Dan Robinson with another $5 chat, man. Thank you so much. Almost 3 hours of your attention and much more research and development behind it. Here is a carrot, you workhorse, man. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that, dude. You've been awesome. You're an invaluable member of this stream. Seriously mean that. You're so knowledgeable and contribute so much. So thank you very much. Okay, Happy Cappy says it's the Alamo that it is. Let me write that down. Happy Cappy. So we want the Alamo. And is that the 1960 Alamo or the 2004 one? 1960 is free. 2004 is a $4 rental. Alamo. Yeah, he gave me some solid advice earlier today talking about Josh from Wild West History. Between you and him, y'all have inspired me to take up the leap into making videos. Good, man. That's the hardest part. Like it's just getting going and you just keep doing it. Really, the hardest one is the second one. Because it's like, okay, I did it. And then doing it again is really hard. Doing it again. But dude, if I had 55 views my first day, I would have flipped out. I had like 10 views a week for my first several videos. What time is it in Texas? It is 12:48. So it ain't early. But in Austin, you guys, like Austin goes to like 4 a.m. in the morning. It's like nobody wakes up here till like 9, except the weirdos. What time? Okay, got that. Happy Cappy, you want the 1960 version? Cool, cool. That'll be free on YouTube so everybody can watch it. Let's see. I was listening to WW Wild West Extravaganza when it was Bloody Beaver. Yeah, right on, Bam Deanna. That's I mean that was around years before HOKC. It really kind of got me thinking about doing the channel. Thank you, Arizona. I have a great video idea I will tell you about on email. Great, man. I'm glad you guys, a lot of inter-chat communication. I like it. Let's see. Arizona boy says it's almost 2 a.m. here. Happy Cappy says it's almost 2 a.m. Roll on Arizona. Let's see. Just making sure I'm not missing anybody. We're going to wind it up, guys. That way everybody can get to bed and we'll still have energy left for tomorrow. Also, tomorrow, Sunday, so no morning stream. We will do a PM stream. That'll be 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time. So tune in for that. When are we doing Cappy's? Excuse me. When are we doing Cappy's movie selection? This week's movie selection will be Comancheros tomorrow, and we will do Cappy's selection on Saturday, next Saturday. That's not the holiday or anything, is it? No, that'll be the 20th, right? So just didn't want to step on Christmas's toes. Arizona boy says it's 11:50 here, so we're almost taking you to midnight. Almost taking you to midnight. Everybody in the Western time zone can still go party. I guess the bars are here. They're open for another hour, so I'm not going, but they're open. 12:50 Central Time. Bama Deanna says that's what I got. Bama Deanna. Let's see. Bama Deanna's at a tattoo parlor right now. I'm just kidding, but let's see. Got my cup of tea by my side to keep me awake to watch the stream, says Thomas Cloak. That's a proud British tradition, man. It is one of my Americanisms that I drink coffee. Somebody accused me yesterday. Who accused me of having decaf or something? I would never do such a thing. I've taken decaf late at night when it's been offered to me, and I didn't like it. It made me feel bad about myself. Good night, OK Corral, says Dan Robertson. Thank you again for hosting us, sir. And thank you, Dan Robertson. Like I said, you are a big part of the chat, so can't thank you enough. Let's see. It's crazy. Different states have different time zones. It's mad, says Thomas Cook. Dog, we don't like it either. It's something like Ben Franklin invented or something. It's stupid. Maybe it wasn't stupid at the time, but it's stupid now. And yes, that's just my opinion, but no, that's my opinion. Let's see. Deanna, that was 30 years. Yeah, I'm just giving you a hard time, Bam. I'm just an old hippie. Well, those are the best kind, though. Hugh, how accurate is the film? Surrender Monkey. You almost got me in trouble, bro. That's funny, though. Arizona boy. America is huge. Literally mind-boggling how big the U.S. is. Yeah, it's just massive. It's legitimately massive. So I get the rationale behind time zones, just to be clear, but I feel like now in this era, there's not a ton of need for them. And like a lot of my family is farmers, so it's not like I'm not sympathetic to farmers, but I never used to watch these streams, but watch just the normal videos on the channel. But since I've been on these streams, everyone is really nice and the streams are cool. Thanks, man. We're trying to, people think I'm replacing the episodes. Like, no, the episodes stay on the same release schedule. These are just supplementary, and it gives our community a chance to hang out and talk about topics we like to talk about and to add in extra details that just don't fit in the episode. So I'm glad we won you over to both sides. Oh my God, Surrender Monkey, you are hilarious. That was funny, right, Bamadiana? That was like legitimately funny. It sucks I can't read that. If you are in the chat and not averse to Baudry jokes, then check out Surrender Monkey's last comment. Let's see. America is huge. Okay, we got that. Okay, Mr. Luck. Dangerous. Nick Sweeney says there's lots of dangerous extremists in here. There are. I'm sure there's a couple feds too. I'm sure there's a couple feds. There always are. But we're glad to have everybody. If you're a Fed, make sure you hit the like button. Brandon Lowery says, Night, you got a great channel going, HOKC. Thank you very much, man. Get some sleep if you're working tomorrow, too. Everything very entertaining live, too. Man, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow. Come on back tomorrow. We got 8 p.m. tomorrow. We'll do the movie night. The rest of the states needs to get on Arizona's pains and quit the BS of daylight savings time. I agree, Arizona boy. Wholeheartedly agree. Awesome channel, says Alex. And I really appreciate you started making content. I've been watching your stuff for a long time now. Awesome. Thank you, man. Thank you very much. You can drive 70 miles an hour for 13 hours and still be in Texas. Very, very true. I've done it. Are you our leader, Nick Sweeney? I think he is. I mean, Britain is like a minor in terms of size to the U.S. Yeah, you would have thought that Britain would be bigger. I mean, there's a British Empire, though. The sun never set on it. Thanks, Bama Mama. You are legendary and lovely. I agree. Thank you, Bama Deanna. Legendary and lovely are two apt adjectives. Bye, y'all. God bless us. Happy Cappy. Good night. Y'all go get some sleep now. Maybe I'm a Fed. How would I know, Nick Sweeney? I don't think you're a Fed, Nick Sweeney. I don't think you're a Fed at all. I think you're an upstanding, trustworthy citizen of these United States. Let's see. Like a bigger as in a big country, not as in bigger than the U.S., I mean. Well, one other thing you could say, though, for the UK is just for its size, it's had more impact than almost any country on earth. They start you with MK Ultra, Nick Sweeney. Yeah, watch out for the programming, though, Nick Sweeney. You got to watch out for that MK Ultra. It's out there. Engineer says, I was the Fed last night. Well, I guess it does trade around. You guys just have one badge and you trade it from guy to guy. But okay, guys, before I get any of us in trouble here, be sure to tune in tomorrow. We're going to do the movie night for Comancheros tomorrow. If you haven't already, watch the Comanche episode that just came out. The raid of Saltillo is in it. Let's see. We'll have another Mountain Man episode coming out, maybe even Monday night. I've wanted to get it done tomorrow night, but I don't know if it'll be done. So Monday or Tuesday, that'll be out. And then another Ranger episode. It's going to be like 2 or 3 episodes a week and a live stream just about every day. Coffee chat every day, just about. Shorts every day. We got more shorts coming out. So stay tuned. We got tons of content coming. Thank you all for all the support. Seriously, it encourages me to keep putting it out. So yeah, just thank you all for showing up. Thank you so, so much. And look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. And until then, God bless. Have a good night, and we'll see you then. Bye.